My Sharona. Was it summer of 78? Is that where 79? We're going? 79?
78, 79?
78, 79. It's kind of a new wave hit that suddenly just has this REO Speedwagon 70s lick in the middle of it, which is a very bizarre song.
About 4 minutes in, I was like, I forgot how long this song was.
Yes, when all those other songs were clocking in at 2:05 by Elvis Costello and Joe Jackson.
You have this really solid poppy beginning.
Yeah. We go from power pop to this weird arena rock, this lick that goes on and on and on. It's the Bennington Show. And you know that when you hear My Sharona, a big announcement is coming up. So if you're a fan of comedy, stay very, very close to your computer. But it is the Bennington Show on a Thursday. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I'm Ron Bennington. Now...
Weird. It seemed like you said it. Never mind.
I'm going to do the announcements here. I'm going to make sure everybody knows who everybody is. Of course, Chris Stanley from his earlier show today. Was it Kicking with Chris? Was it? It was
the post show. It's a post workout show with Chris because I just finished my workout. Want to jump on the scope.
Most of those things seem to be post. Your trainer Vito was with you.
He's looking good too.
I don't know why he's exhausted from your workout, but it happened that way.
Mentally exhausted. He's got to keep me on track.
Little bad news before we jump into the show. If you're familiar with Coach, who has been a trusted intern all summer long, she is being deported this afternoon back to the island of Argentina, where she's from. Get her to come in and tell us what she has to do today. But they caught her.
Unbelievable.
And obviously, like any civilized country, we need her out of here. Come on in, Coach.
Coach.
I got the word that you got to leave early today to get back on the ship and head back.
It's not a ship, it's a boat.
Okay, it's a boat, but it's because she has the, I guess, Zika virus.
That's what I heard, yeah.
Is that what it is?
Is this something you got to do every once in a while with immigration?
Yeah, it's really annoying. And they just updated, it used to be really old school. You get a bunch of papers and you got assemble your documents. You go to the USCIS office and you do all your whatever. Normally it takes 15 minutes, but it's really stressful. If you forget one document, they
You're out.
Yeah. So the last time I did it, apparently I didn't have my green card with me.
How would that happen?
You're supposed to bring an ID. And it was the first time I was going by myself because, I'm really dependent on my dad. So I forgot it. And I was like, you know what? I have my New York State ID. I can get away with it. But no.
No, you're not. You don't belong here.
I don't.
And
they are ready to kick me out.
I say this, and it's not against you personally, but build that wall. Build that wall. Build that wall. Build that wall.
Build that wall.
All right, Chris.
And
the wall will go through Mexico into the Gulf and as far out as Atlantic as we can literally go. And we're going to make those ships of immigrants drive around that wall. That's our main goal. I think it was 200 miles still, or is that just fishing rights?
I think that's international, 200 miles.
I know you say that, but when I used to be down in Florida, right off the Cape, would be, and I'm talking about Cape Canaveral, just a few miles out, there was always a Russian trawler there that never left, and that would be the spy on NASA thing. And it was always well known, and everybody knew about it.
They're just okay, we accept that you're going to stay there.
I guess we have a ship right off of somewhere that they care about. I don't know. I never know how it all works. I'll just say this. Oh, my little pretty woman. That's one of your favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
That song, it caused a great debate in America when it came out and went to number one of whether or not it was a legitimate rock song or not. There was a fight about it because they were posing there in L.A. They did not have the New York, London cred to take those licks, and they overproduced it. Corporate.
Did they feel like it? What category would it have gone into, though?
I think it eventually ended up in the category of pop music.
Yeah,
rejected by punk, rock, and new wave, as well as I think AOR. album oriented rock.
If you can pogo to it, then I think it's fair game.
The problem was it brought the pogo to the masses. You know what I mean?
You're right. Because then people did start pogoing to pop.
People started pogoing at discos after that, and they started to pogo at, football games, and it made it like Talking Heads fans feel very bad about themselves.
Pogo is like the best dance for like a young man who can't really dance.
Who's got amazing calves, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the calf work.
Yeah.
Because you think, try to pogo an entire concert. Forget about it, know? You got to bring a small trampoline and just put it down and just like...
No one notices.
I'm just posing.
That poser has moon boots on. That's not fair.
All right. When you hear that song, that means we've got a big comedy announcement. Have you already written a promo for this, Chris? Or
yeah, the promo has been written.
Should we let the promo do the announcement?
We can let the promo do the announcement, yeah.
Well, we're all going to be hearing the promo with you folks, so that's exciting for us. And this may be the last promo that Coach ever hears.
Oh, no.
At least in America.
Do they have promos where you're from?
Well, I like that you speak to her notes slowly so she can understand it. All right, let's do the big promo announcement. It's exciting for everybody. Promo announcement is coming. Trying to hit.
Bennington and the Interrobang.com presents New York's most hilarious and vicious comedy show, Comedy 101. The show where an open mic meets a roast. Comedy 101 is happening Tuesday, August 16th at 8 p.m. at the Village Underground in New York City. Email comedy101live@gmail.com for free tickets. The hottest comics in New York City are brought in to mentor brand new open mic stand-ups. For your free tickets to Comedy 101, email comedy101live@gmail.com. Go now because it will sell out.
Are you guys ready to start Comedy 101? The world famous Comedy 101. Last time Vito went up and did a hell of a job. This time I'm going to just give away something. I'm mentoring someone who's never done comedy before to do this.
Really? Whoa. So this is first time ever?
Yes. He's asked me to mentor him. And I'm glad to do it. I think I get the way that this show works. I see the people who get over and don't get over, and it's exciting.
I think there is a trick to it. You're right.
And I'm not going to tell anybody who it is. I'm just going to give a small hint. He ruined Fez's chance to have a one-on-one talk with Bruce Valanche. That's all I'm going to tell you. So there's comedy background there. There's comedy background, as well as one stealing Eastside Dave's puppet.
Mysterious.
Now, Chris, you know this gentleman. Do you think he'll show or be a no-show?
I think he'll show.
And this is why he came up, and this has everything to do with Vito. He said that he was watching Vito on stage and became overwhelmingly jealous. And I said, look, this stage is open to you, dude. If you have a dream... you could do it. And then later he said, will you mentor me? That's all I've ever wanted to do. Yeah. We've got 3 amazing mentors ready to do this. It's my idea to just announce who the judges are because they're some of the biggest, hottest comics working in New York. But the people who attend these shows tell me, oh no, we love it when we're surprised. I don't know how long this can go on. You know what I mean?
It certainly worked the first 2 times.
Yes.
They enjoyed it.
They get crazy and
but then we get excited. Then we get excited because we know who the judges are. We want to share.
I want to know.
I know you want to know, Coach, but you're not even an American, okay?
Problem.
If I tell, it'll be for citizens.
We can't risk you taking that back to Argentina, that information.
All right, Coach Vito's doing your work over there, too, so you got to run back. But we'll miss you.
Miss you, too.
Bon voyage.
Yeah. How can they send a little baby back to
she's
Argentina?
Heartless. Yeah. Heartless.
Oh, suddenly you're on that side, huh? You're anti-American.
She's taking good internships. They're taking our internships.
Comedy 101, perhaps the most exciting thing that we've ever done.
It's so exciting, and I think we have so much fun with it.
And, come on, folks, the Village Underground.
It's going to be a blast there.
It's August 16th at 8 p.m. Email comedy101live@gmail.com for a chance at free tickets.
I didn't know that you were going to do a straight read for it. I thought that was an interesting choice. I know we'd gone over clips and stuff like that, but that's going to be the 30?
That's the 30, yeah.
30 for 30.
There
we go. So this is going to be, I believe, the social event of August. And it's very, very exciting. Let's go over here to Joe. Joe, how are you?
How you doing?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, are you a Donald Trump supporter or a Hillary Clinton accomplice?
I got to tell you, the choice between two sociopaths is probably the most exciting and interesting vote of my entire life. It really comes down to who frightens you more. I got to say, with the Trump people, last night, it confused me, delighted me because it was fun. But why would you let someone who doesn't back you speak that night and then walk out to kind of like, let me deflect some of this? I don't know whether he's like a crazy genius or just crazy, but it was absolutely fascinating, fucking electric TV, and all the way off now. We're still, we're getting used to a phone bank that we're not even going to be keeping very long. Chris, is that it?
Yeah, I believe I was told it's going to be replaced next week.
Good. We'll be gone then.
Yeah.
To Montreal.
The Cruz speech and the reaction from it was so confusing but like riveting. I was on the edge of my seat during that.
I had said a long time ago, and I'm going to give myself 100% credit for this, that Cruz scares me 100 times more than Donald Trump ever could, because he's a fucking believer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the way that I look at ISIS as being and that was like weirdly like a suicide bomber last night. Like, there are people who said he's destroyed his own career, and then his people are chanting 2020, meaning either Trump won't win or we're going to run against Trump in 4 years. And then Trump puts that guy on the stage. It's hard to believe.
I think that Trump has, the strengths that him and his campaign have been just like their lack of understanding how, the kind of politics as usual stuff works. So to me, having that, I don't know if that was like a crucial mistake where they didn't understand maybe how bad that reaction was going to be. I don't know. Or maybe that language didn't mean much to them. For example, the term of saying, vote your conscience is very well known within the political system, but maybe that to somebody who doesn't really know politics might think like, oh, he's just saying vote your heart and Trump is the best way. Like that, maybe that's an implication, but it's very well known within the party that vote your conscience means do not vote for a candidate in our party that you don't believe in.
It's crazy to put that guy on stage, but it's also crazy. This whole thing has not been run by people who look like they know what they're going to be running, like the Melania fuck up the other night. Just the weirdness, but even come down to that Trump didn't understand that it is traditional for you to grab your VP mate's hand and for you guys to lift it over your heads. So everybody was talking about that. Like, how does he not know that thing, And I don't think he's paid that much attention to politics before this, but the booing of Cruz. I mean, Vito is a wrestling fan. Everybody knows the heel turn. It's like he just walked out with Bobby Heenan. You know what I mean? Like the look on his face and the way he let the booze roll before he jumped in and he gave like a smirk. I mean, this dude was fucking loving it.
Yeah.
And you got to say, Trump, why are you giving him that fucking point? And obviously, Trump isn't running this whole thing, but something that Trump had brought up before is like, I picked the best people. This thing has been run pretty fucking crappy up to this point.
And every night there has been some kind of major drama or some kind of fuck up that makes you not pay attention to maybe some of the stronger moments because the strong hasn't really outweighed those.
They get washed out.
Yeah. So like there'll be moments where you're like, hey, that was a pretty good speech, or hey, this person who you didn't expect to do a good job did. But that all gets completely eclipsed.
Here's what it's like. It's like if you watch the Super Bowl, a player could be playing a fucking phenomenal game. He makes a crucial mistake, and that is all that is remembered as time goes on. Just that one play, because we don't have enough fucking memory to remember the entire 4 days. It's always going to be about moments. It's always going to be about, here's the one picture or clip that represents the entire thing. I'll give you an example. To this day, I mean, you think how many speeches that Ronald Reagan gave, but the only thing people remember is Mr. Gorbachev tear down that wall. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. If 100 years from now, if they show a clip on Reagan, that's going to be it. So you would have thought the Melania Trump, whatever the weird controversy with that was, but Cruz being booed and people going, why is he up there? He's not backing you. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Do you think, certainly it had an effect, it'll have an effect this week, that people are going to be saying, oh, you know, there is, a crack in the wall here. It's going to make them seem weak. They're not going to seem united. But do you think it'll stand? That will keep going? Like, will it have a lasting effect on the vote?
Here's the thing. We don't know whether it's a positive or negative in the long run for Trump, and we don't know whether it's a positive or a negative in the long run from Cruz. This could be a career maker for Cruz with his people. But back to the Republican Party, Ted Cruz is never going to win the Northeast or the West Coast, which means you have to win everything in between then. You know what I mean? There's so many people on the West Coast and the Northeast. How are you supposed to ever get Ted Cruz running this year? I think would be far worse of a chance to win this thing than Donald Trump. So why give it to him? Why put him up there? I mean, you really, you have fucking tons of people that sit around and think of how to do these things perfectly. How do you not have anybody there figuring it out? How did they have two major mistakes? Here's Mike, Canada. Mike.
Yeah, hear the knack. I can't help but get a little excited. I got a little knack fun fact for you guys. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Doug Feiger, the late lead singer and leader of the knack, was actually the brother of the famous defense attorney Jeffrey Feiger, who represented everybody's favorite jazz flautist and suicide doctor Jack Kevorkian.
I used to put him on the phone on my show all the time because he was controversial lawyer, very, very bright, and would, obviously at the time, the Kevorkian thing was, the way gay marriage was, where half the people were saying, hey, it's choice, and the other half was saying you're going against God if you have an assisted suicide. But he would come on my show, we'd get him on the phone, and just the joy that the guy took into suicide was fucking hilarious. Like, right? He was just, there are certain lawyers that really embrace that heat. It's like we were talking about Ted Cruz. The excitement in his face as people were booing him. But this tells me something else about Ted Cruz. Why that is happening and that heat and that screaming is going on. He leaves his wife sitting in the place. Everyone around her is screaming and pointing at her. And they had to rush in security to get her out. They were afraid somebody might physically grab her. But just having someone giving a face job to somebody's wife is bad enough TV as it was. And wasn't it weird, like, the whole screen thing went out during that, and Trump walking out as he did.
That was so bizarre.
Looking exactly like Vince McMahon
Yeah.
as he walked out.
There was
as this is going on.
There was like a very weird feeling of like the dictator overlooking as the people turn, like that kind of feeling, like he's in the Coliseum, like looking over, just insanity.
I thought for sure they were going to give him a hand mic. I was yelling, "Where's the fucking hand mic?" You know something, Cruz? I look around this arena. It was fucking WWE. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was really intense. And it was nuts when you were looking out over the crowd and you can hear the boos so loud, but then you see like peppered throughout people standing and clapping for what he's doing. It was just so weird. It was just like watching like the divide happen. It was very intense.
And the worst thing about this is, for Trump, is it makes you wonder if he can run things, right? If you can't run the convention, can you run something with the UN? Can you go to V8 and not fucking go, oh, I didn't know who was supposed to hand me the speech? And, you know, that's the downside of this, that it looks like if you can't manage something. And that's why we're doing Comedy 101 at the Village Underground. It's going to be very exciting.
It's happening Tuesday, August 16th at 8 p.m. at the Village Underground. Email comedy101live@gmail.com for a chance at free tickets.
I definitely want to say who the judges are, and I know that the audience doesn't want us to say it for that pop excitement. So we're going to keep it that way for now. But this can't go on.
It's what the people want.
I know, but you just can't keep people's secret. It just doesn't work that way. Matt, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
I'm not a Cruz supporter. I'm not going to vote for him. I'm never going to vote for him. But what he did last night, he went up. He went up a tick in my mind.
Well, what did that for you, Matt? What was the up a tick?
Well, because I mean, he had the balls and he had the audacity to look that crowd right in the eye and say, you know what? I don't care that you're booing. I'm not going to do what you want me to do. And he actually did follow through on what he said he was going to do. And he said he wasn't going to support Trump.
Well, he never said that. He actually signed a paper, which they all signed before Trump, forcing Trump to sign it. I always said that Trump shouldn't sign it, that you will support the Republican nominee. And now he gets the chance for Chris Christie to say he's not a man of his word. He can't be trusted. But again, if you're a wrestling fan, and when they couldn't put The Rock over, The Rock was supposed to be the good guy, he came in as the bad guy. It's much easier to turn a bad guy into a good guy than it is to make a good guy in wrestling.
Right.
The heel to face turn gets immediately accepted by the audience. They're like, yes, forget how many times he hit people with chairs and knocked out referees. He just said something nice about Hogan. I'm glad they're partners now. We can trust The Undertaker. The dead man who used to scare us can be trusted 100%. So in that way, you know, it is good for Cruz, because it's just something that sticks into your mind about the guy. But can he make the face turn one day? You know, probably.
He probably could. I mean, certainly he gained attention in a way that I think he didn't have before. Like, there was nothing about him that was fiery or controversial. It was either like some people liked him because of, you know, his religious background, and then the people who didn't like him couldn't even say. They're like, I don't know, he's just weird.
Oh no, he's got a horrible record in Washington as far as getting along with people. This is a guy who stopped the government when his own party told him that he was reckless. He's always been, you know, he's appealed very much to the speaking in tongues part of the Republicans, but I mean, you saw the states that he won. These are states that Trump is going to win easily. There's no place that he could go now that Trump needs him to campaign with him. John Kasich, on the other hand, Trump can probably use that help, and he's not going to get it. But by the way, the interesting thing is he's completely knocked Kasich off the fucking radar, because Kasich was the guy who everybody was paying attention. He's not going. He's across the street. He's, he's outside with some friends, but he's not walking in. That was somewhat of a story. But Cruz is the story today, and not Pence, which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Nothing about Pence.
Hey, Steve, what's up?
Hey, I heard Dan Rather interviewed this morning. He said something that was kind of interesting. He said there's something in the back of his head, like an alarm going off, a bullshit meter, saying that this is not exactly what it appears to be. I don't know if there was, I guess I was wondering what would be good for this with Ted Cruz if he were to, the way it went down. But he did get publicity, and like Dan Rather was saying, with Donald Trump being a huge proponent of any publicity is good publicity. Donald Trump doesn't care. He just wants action, and he wants eyes on him.
I could not disagree more that any publicity is good publicity was right at a certain point, but now he has to come off presidential. And why are you having bad publicity all this week? Why are the two big stories fuck up stories?
Yeah.
I mean, Cruz doing somebody wrote, wouldn't it be worse than if he didn't talk? No. That would not be fucking worse.
No one would be going, you would just say, okay, why would you give that person a stage and a mic to the nation at that moment while you're trying to make yourself look like the proper candidate? It wouldn't be, it was such a strange move that I actually have to wonder. I know that he does say, I knew what he was going to say, but who cares? That's what, his take on it. That's what he said on Twitter. But it's hard to believe he understood the magnitude then.
No, you just don't do it. You just don't do it. And nobody would have had a problem. Someone's running, wouldn't it look worse? No, it would not have looked worse to say we're not putting up a guy, because you're under no obligation to put up anybody. John Kasich, who is the governor of Ohio, the home of where this is going. This should be, he's the host of this thing.
Yeah.
He's not going up. No one's sitting around saying Trump's a prick or whatever for that. You're supposed to put up people who support you. And apparently, this is the new now. This is what it's all about. Here's something even just weirder, in my opinion. Last night, the thing comes out that Michelle Obama is on car karaoke. And I'm like, what?
She was on car karaoke last night?
Yes.
That is very strange.
They're strange people. Their whole social media thing is driving me nuts. Between Two Ferns, car karaoke. I don't get them. Hey, Matt. Matt, what's up?
Hey, Bennington.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't see any of the convention, and I like what you're doing with the WWE. The imagery really makes a lot of sense, but Trump to me seems more like a Kenny Powers. The combination of confidence and ignorance it strikes me as a real Kenny Powers walking out there. I don't know.
Well, certainly Kenny Powers would have his full endorsement. You know that. Like, Kenny Powers would dig the whole thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of stuff about Donald Trump that's just fallout funny. And, I mean, the one thing that's come off this, here was the other weird part of this. Eric Trump had to follow that.
Yeah.
Your kid who's never done a speech like that has to go out and followed that. And Trump sat there and watched him, and then got up and left. Like I did when Gail had to sing at school. You know what I mean? It was the same thing of, all right, I'm going to walk in exactly when the song starts, and I'm leaving right after. I don't want to see other people's kids sing. That was the strangest thing tonight. Tonight is Ivanka Trump, who I'm 100% sure is going to do a great job. The Trump kids have come off very well in this. I mean, obviously, Eric wasn't going to have the same knockout speech as his brother, but he got put in he's following Gallagher. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very tough position. There's still watermelon rinds on the air. And, this kid has to go out and start talking about airline peanuts and where's the McNugget come from. It's a tough spot.
The thing that has just shocked me so much about this family is how normal and well-rounded and healthy his kids seem to be. And that's not even a dig Trump is crazy. That's shocking. It's just they're rich, really rich kids. And so few times you see that.
No, we know so many rich kids in New York that are assholes, that they're just in clubs.
Yeah.
And they're just awful, terrible people so much of the time. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do when you get really rich, is to raise the worst possible person ever. And the Trump kids, until we get to Barron, who they're hiding, and I hope he's the black sheep, because every family has to have a black sheep. I mean, wouldn't it be great if there was just one kid that was real long hair, maybe a fucking tat sleeve, who was going to school for photography, something that just made you feel like, look, you can't win them all.
It's gotta be one.
Yeah. Hey, at least they still love him, as fucked up as he is. Here's, let me go to Connor. Connor, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Ron, what's going on?
Yeah.
I was just calling in about the Ted Cruz thing. Not much of a conspiracy guy, but I like to keep an alternate theory saying we had to do something a little bit crazy to get the attention of Trump's wife. It was just blowing up the media, and then all of a sudden this happens.
Connor, I'm going to say this. You've put more thought to this than Paul Manafort has. They leave it up to the rest of us to come up with logic why this would happen. And that's the fucking funnest, craziest part of the whole gimmick, is that, I got it, they don't really think about it themselves. If that were true, you wouldn't have Manafort and you wouldn't have Chris Christie ripping the guy.
Yeah.
You would not. If they said, hey, we just want to let him talk, he disagrees with us, but we want to get all the opinions out there. They haven't done that at all. They fucking booed him. And they were showing the people in the New York thing. It was a lot of people who actually worked for Trump were leading the boos and part of it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
I would have loved to have heard an assistant. I think they're saying Boo Earns. I was saying Boo Earns. That's all I was thinking of. Are they saying Cruz? Or Boo.
And the fact that Cruz loved it, like any heel turn,
and
was
he did that. He did that signature laugh that, remember, people were making these clips of that weird little that little smug smile, and and he did that exact thing that he's so known for, and I was like, there it is.
Well, the Texas delegates look so crazy anyway, because they're all wearing the same shirt and the same white hat, and no other state is doing that. So you can't even take the angle of, I thought we all were going to get dressed up like our home state for this. And they're kind of divided on him as well. He got up and talked with them today, and there's plenty of them that are pissed at him, and bringing up Hillary. Because that has been the number one thing. If you said, what have you gotten out of this so far? It's little hate on Hillary, death, destruction. If we don't win, we're all going to literally die. Melania took from somebody they supposedly don't like, Karaoke Kate, Obama's wife, and then the heel turn. I mean, it's really crazy shit that has come out of this. The Democrats are going to have to just amp up their game not to be boring.
Yeah, they're going to have to be insane in there.
They're going to have to wheel Charlie Manson out like he was Hannibal Lecter. I got all kinds of new moves. Doing shit you haven't even thought about before.
On the precipice of reality.
Yes, you are. I don't know. Hey, Jay. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, Ronnie B., I absolutely agree with you, man, about this whole Ted Cruz thing. Any chance, I drive down the 99 all the time here in Central California, man, and all these farmers out here, they're super conservative, and they all had their Ted Cruz big banners up on the side of their tractors and stuff, and as soon as Ted Cruz dropped out of the race, they didn't even bother him up with another farmer for Trump fucking banners.
Yeah, I can't see that any state that Cruz got, I think Trump will probably pick up. But the problem with that is, like, there are 3 states and 4 states and 5 states, you know. Even when I was up in New England, I saw plenty of Trump stuff, you know.
But I feel like if this has any power, it's not going to be because Cruz has some sort of weight. It'll just be that people are like, look, that this is less united than I've ever seen this party ever be.
Yeah, but that just, I mean, there's the Bushes aren't there. You know, there's a lot of big name guys that did not show up. You know, and the reality of it is, if Trump is going to win, he has to take over the Republican Party and make it just like him, and he has to be out with the old, and it's got to be a new vibe. But if you look at those delegates, they're very old people. Very old people, those delegates. And by the way, it's not a bad thing because very old people vote. Where a lot of, like, you know, Vito, for all the talk that he's done, hasn't registered yet. And that's not unlike people of Vito's age. They'll go around wearing these shirts and shit and then fucking party the night before and sleep right through the election.
Shit, I missed
it. It happens. You know, Obama had the youth vote, and those numbers always came in way less than what was projected. Not because they went and voted the other way. They just fucking forgot to vote.
Yeah.
Just like when you say to your kid, wait, how did you not register? You know when fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you're just on the phone with your kid. Well, how? You didn't fucking register.
But Obama had the biggest youth turnout, I think, of any.
Yeah, and that's still less than what everybody thought. Because a ton of those kids, just the same way that they show up without books, they didn't get the classes they wanted because they fucking slept in. They forget. You're laughing, and Gail's actually a little offended. Like, oh, youth does vote, but it's just not true. You know, it's not true. The people that vote the most are the elderly. Go to New Hampshire during those speeches, and you can't believe how old people are actually sitting there, and they're just. And that New Hampshire, it's so fucking important, no matter who you are. And they'll drive up and do a gig at an old folks home, just like literally being in there with people that, I mean, 90s. I'm not talking about people that are 65, 70. I'm talking really old.
They show up at the nursing home with the bus. Everyone in. Let's take you to vote.
That's why, as much as the Republicans are against, you know, government subsidy, they never touch Medicare. Because it would be suicide. Because that's all those old people care about. Where am I getting my pills? Hey, Scott, South Carolina.
Maha boon, Ronnie.
Maha, buddy.
Hey, I mean, Trump extends the olive branch to Cruz, knowing that Cruz is going to stab himself in the heart. He just exposed Cruz for exactly what he is, a dipshit.
But here, and I will agree with you 100%, except for Cruz is not your enemy right now. You know what I mean? Like, this was not the time. We had all forgotten about Cruz. You know, right now, let's face it, no one's talking about Bernie Sanders because that's behind us.
He's done.
Bernie Sanders will be more or less forgotten by history, because if you don't win, you're forgotten. If you sit around now and you bring up John Kerry and he ran,
yeah,
a lot of people are going to go, I don't know who he ran against. Did he run against Bush? Did he run against Obama?
Yeah.
Who did he run against? That's just the way it works.
Yeah, there are so many of those politicians who seem so important. Like, you're following it like this, like this year, you follow it like crazy and you forget it as soon as it's over.
Well, Dole is the only guy who is out there who's run for president on the Republican ticket ever and showed up for Trump. He's the only guy. And let's face it, he's not being treated like he was a president. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh my God, I saw Dole. You're just like, oh my God, look at Dole's got, what is he, 92? Yeah, he's 92. And, they got him out there. Somebody had to literally go under him and lift him up. Yeah. But he's being treated very nice by the Trump organization. But it doesn't carry the weight that this is an ex-president of the United States.
Yeah. But even when I saw him, I was thinking, this has been so long since I have seen him. I was shocked. Like, I was like, oh, he's that old now.
Well, his wife didn't even come out. So, this is what the years do. Here's Jim. Jim, what's up?
The thing that's frustrating about the convention or any of this is there's no plans, solutions, strategies ever discussed, and the country has problems. We all know it, and there's just not. It's just all essentially kind of I don't know. It's like a pep rally, but there's no plans. I just don't understand the purpose of it.
Well, the thing is, it's supposed to be a pep rally, and you are right. This is supposed to be the time where you say, here's our specific plans. But it didn't even look like they had specific plans to run this convention. And that's exactly what we're talking about right now, is like, who's running things? Who's running shit? It's great TV, though. Don't get me wrong. It's great TV. But I wouldn't have fucking let Cruz anywhere near that thing. John, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Ronnie? I just love the fact that Cruz essentially was invited to this party, and then he just took a giant shit in the punch bowl in front of everybody.
And loved it.
Yeah, it was great. The other thing, though, is Pence. Did you notice Pence, he continued to have this meek little smile on his face the whole time he was giving his speech?
Oddly enough, Pence went out and gave a very standard, speech. There was some jokes that were written for him about being dull and all that.
Right.
And everybody would have said, oh, that was a perfectly good speech to give. No one is talking about it today.
But the only thing that bothered me was his aw shucks look on his face the whole time he was giving the speech.
But that's his gimmick. He's ran on that. I could see corn from my bedroom window bit.
Great.
These guys get into that, and they, that's their thing. That's what got them here. Certain people like him, and they, he just had the spotlight still. There's just nobody talking about him today. Nothing. It's, certainly, I guess you could say it's not his fault.
You know what I always think is interesting, and it's on both sides. It's, right and left, they both do it. But it's a very strange tradition where you list off who has been in the military in your family if you haven't. Like saying, like, you come from a military family, like my grandfather fought in World War II. It gets a huge pop. My father was in Vietnam. You know what I mean? But then you weren't. But it's a very weird thing where they're like, okay, they come from good stock. It's strange that that's something that people have to do to appeal to people, to be like, or they keep saying like this stuff like, my family made a good name for themselves. Like, not just like
they were poor.
Yeah.
But, they came here and really never I don't think my dad made more than $600. I'm talking lifetime. They do that.
And that's when he went into the U.S. Army. Yeah! Yeah.
So, I mean, why don't they just say, look, there's no jobs now, but that worked out for our folks, right? Maybe you're making our kids better by not having any work. I don't know. I think, in my opinion, and it's sad about the Melania thing, but I think the Trump family comes off this week. So far, I mean, everybody expects Ivanka to hit a home run tonight because she's just really poised and together.
Yeah, very prepared.
So so you say to yourself, there has to be something about Donald Trump that these nice kids,
right.
Actually, his son said, he's my hero. He's my hero, which you'd normally stop saying in second or third grade.
You get over it.
I want to talk about a different kind of hero. My dad. You give that, some little thing in school. He can open up any jar of mayonnaise. So that part has worked for him, I think. But that's it. I give no other, Christie's crazy speech, forgotten already.
Yeah. Giuliani's intensity.
Because we've seen those guys give those speeches so many times. It really was. And we've seen Cruz give his same speech. So, I mean, just the heel turn was at least something. Nobody could tell you what happened up to that point because it was standard, Ted Cruz time. Here's Greg in Texas. What's up, Greg?
Hey, Ron.
Hey,
Ron. How are you?
Cool.
I'm a member of the local chapter of the Republican Party down here in Harris County, and one thing that's being kept close to the vest is that Cruz has positioned himself for a seat on the Supreme Court as a justice, and I think he's on I think should Trump be elected, I believe he'd be on the short list.
There is not a chance in hell that Democrats or Republicans will give that to Ted Cruz. He is not going to get that position.
I think you'd be very surprised. I think someone that staunch of morality would be a keeper of the flame on the Supreme Court.
Dude, I got news for you. The Republican Party, the other senators, and this is a known fact, do not like him. He is very unliked.
I agree.
They're not going to vote for him. If he was in that position, he would make the Supreme Court about Ted Cruz and nothing else. There is not a chance in hell he gets that position. He has a better chance of becoming president of the United States of America than he would ever have of being in the Supreme Court. Alone that he signed something, right? He's signed what could be called a contract with the Republican Party, taking their funds, going out and doing that work, and then not supporting that candidate. It's like why people get really mad at anybody who switches from Democrat to Republican in the middle of their term. It's because you took funds from people and they paid for you to run, and then you turn your back. It's basically what Ted Cruz did last night. He has a better chance of turning the Republican Party for him than ever getting the votes to be on the Supreme Court. Never.
Yeah.
Never going to happen.
Like I said, I think that there's a possibility that this could have an impact, but it's not going to be in favor of Ted Cruz. It's not going to be that. It's just going, it might start an avalanche in a way, but I don't think that it's going to push people to be like Ted Cruz was the right choice, or I'm listening because I trust Ted.
Here's what Ted is running for, and trust Ted was my favorite thing in the world. Ted Cruz is running for Trump loses, and he starts to give the "I told you all" speech. Now let's get together. Trump wins. And then he's running against Trump doing, "I told you so, look at this mistake. Look, we still have a chance. We can get back the Republican Party." But you have to remember, when he ran, he was the outside guy. The Republicans didn't like him. And then Trump ran as even more outside than him and kind of, screwed up his entire gig. Ted Cruz ran the campaign that if there wasn't a Donald Trump, everybody would be saying it looks like the Republican Party is completely changing.
Yeah.
Right? Trump took it to, it changed even differently, where Chachki would be able to get up. Now I'm going to ask you something, because I'm at episode 6. I'm watching a Netflix right now. It's one of the many Netflix that you can watch. This one I don't even think people were promoting.
I didn't see a thing about it. It came out last Friday. I never saw one ad for it.
I knew nothing about it, but just woke up to a bunch of people tweeting me, this is right up your alley, and then Chris saying, have you seen this yet?
6 episodes I've seen. Is 6 out of 8?
8.
So I should finish tonight. Gail, where are you in this?
I have watched all 8 episodes as of last night.
Didn't you say yesterday you want me to wait for you?
I know I did, but then...
You're the Ted Cruz of the show right now.
No, I thought about it. But then you went one over. See, this is what happened. I was at 5. Then I heard you were at 6. And I was like, yes. I'll watch 6. And then I couldn't stop.
I wanted to ask you guys.
I wanted to stop.
You're satisfied with the way the whole series went? And that's all I want you to say. Satisfied?
I am satisfied with the series.
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Now, I'm just going to say this, because I was thinking this last night. Is this a kid's show? And maybe it's a kid's movie, or is it a movie about kids that isn't actually a kid's movie?
Much like a lot of Stephen King stuff, it kind of has that thing where you're not quite sure, because Stephen King sometimes writes things where like, yeah, kids are at the forefront of this, but this isn't for children. But then at times it does kind of feel like it is.
There's so many 80s reflection in it. When they're walking the train tracks, it's literally set up. I mean, they're doing that stuff on purpose. But
there was also another big Stand By Me reference, I think maybe in like the 2nd or 3rd episode, when they're like saying, "Oh, let's bring, like, what did you bring?"
Oh, yeah. And there's
the comb.
Yeah, but if you, and by the way, that toothless kid is my favorite.
He's the best.
He's so great,
amazing. Don't like the black kid very much. I think he's a little aggressive.
He's really angry.
Now, I don't think I would let kids watch this. If I had kids that were like 6, 7, 8, the same age of the kids in the show, I don't think that you would watch it.
It's pretty terrifying.
It's disturbing. It's a disturbing TV show.
I think if a little kid would be up at night tossing and turning.
And then they do, like, the kids do use strong language, which is realistic because that's how kids talk. But in kids' movies, kids don't talk that way. Like, kids will say bullshit and fuck this or whatever, but...
You mean in real life?
Yeah, in real life.
They get together.
Yeah, kids talk like that. That's how kids speak. But anytime there's a kids movie, we pretend like kids don't talk like that.
We are doing the big Comedy 101. The last time we did this, the judges were unbelievable. We had Voss and Bonnie, Robert Kelly, and they absolutely destroyed. But now we've taken this to the underground. It's a bigger place. It's going to be a lot of fun. I was just there the other night, and I think this is going to be the funnest one that we've done yet. And that's hard to believe when the last two, you would have given 10 out of a scale 1 to 10.
I'm so excited about the space, about the judges, everything about it. I think this is going to be a blast.
The weird thing, when I was down there the other night, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm in New York. There's something about the Village that is still the most New Yorky of all New York neighborhoods, because there's always some kind of shit going on. There's still more, it seems like there's more trash piled up than anywhere else. It's still so multicultural, and it is a place that you can walk down the street smoking a joint without anyone saying anything. There's right across the street from the Blue Note Jazz, which is crazy. IFC Center, which is, what was that, the old Waverly Theater, which Rocky Horror started at. There's a basketball court that the best basketball players in the world,
the Cages,
stop by and just play pickup games. You're looking at guys. So, and this is within just a 20-yard area that all this really crazy history This is the street in Louis that he walked down, the subway stop that he got at. Everyone who's ever seen that. So it is like the real New York. It's so close to the Cellar that it's crazy. Like you can be be at the Comedy Cellar, who owns the Underground, in 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's just around the corner.
So the night that I was down there, people were leaving the Cellar, coming in and doing stuff at the Underground, and then running over to do Joe List's party at the Stand. There was so much activity going on. It's just a great spot. All right, we got Barry Crimmins coming in.
Barry Crimmins is coming in.
We breaking first?
Yeah, let's break first.
We're going to break first. We're going to be back with Barry Crimmins. He's going to be performing at McGuire's Comedy Club in Bohemia, New York. And then Saturday night, July 23rd, he's performing at the Brokerage on Long Island. So tomorrow night, McGuire's Comedy Club. And then Saturday night, you'll see him at the Brokerage on Long Island, at Barry Crimmins on Twitter. Right back, Bennington. Barry Crimmins in studio with us tomorrow night. He's going to be at McGuire's Comedy Club in Bohemia, New York. And then Saturday, the 23rd, at the Brokerage in Long Island. Barry, I know that you're a Ted Cruz guy, so last night must have been exciting for you.
I'm just going to say, before anyone gets disappointed, I will not endorse Trump.
You're not doing it.
I'm not going to. I'm not doing it. Ted Cruz is like if Joseph McCarthy escaped from the wax museum and stood under a sun lamp.
Yeah,
that's what he's got, that shininess that's sort of a warning from God or whatever. Let's not get into that argument, but it's just, and his cadence is Joseph McCarthy.
I would love if he would just start speaking in tongues on stage. He never does it. He does it off stage.
He loves it so much.
Yeah, because I like scat. That's a big thing.
Scat prayer.
Ella Fitzgerald and Ted Cruz. That album is really pretty great. I think it's Count, Ella, and Ted. It's the album.
There's no one in this battle of sociopaths for you, though, right? This election.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'll do this. I'll make some jokes about both of them, and then people go, "Oh, you're for the other one." It's like either or is no choice. So, and I live, and the Electoral College does its job. It keeps us from having direct democracy. So, I mean, I live in New York State, and I don't think Trump can win New York if he cures cancer the night before the election, so I don't have to soil myself by voting for Clinton.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know if the last time.
But I mean, these guys. I mean, here's a sentence you didn't think you'd hear. They're ruining Cleveland.
Well, that has been like, it is true that this is another one, just as they're trying to enjoy their first championship since Jim Brown.
Right.
This comes to Cleveland.
And there was so much that leading up to it, everybody thought that there was going to be just insanity with protesters out front. And that has taken a back seat to what's actually happening in the convention. I was very shocked by that.
It's not good strategy to take the focus away from what they're doing.
True. But even when you throw piss, it's not as fucking nutty
they were throwing
as what happened last night.
Well, I mean, and it's not that original if you're watching what's going on inside. So I'm lucky to be here.
Yeah, what happened with you? I told you not to tell me till we were on the air, but the social media guys know.
Driving down here yesterday from upstate. I heading into Pennsylvania from Binghamton, still between Binghamton and the state line. It's pretty much rush hour, good amount of traffic. Everybody's driving about 70 miles an hour. There's trucks in front of me. But I'm cognizant. I have this thing about, I hate people who drive in your blind spot.
Yeah.
This guy had been in my blind spot for 2 miles. And so I was annoyed. Fortunately, I'm a grouchy bastard because I was annoyed. That bastard's still in my blind spot. What a moron. What if something happened? And all of a sudden, this full-size, I would guess it was a full-size pickup truck tire comes shooting out from behind this truck right for me. Because I knew the guy was there, I didn't swerve in front of him. If I did, it would have been a 38-car accident. Probably some people would have been killed, me especially. So I just had to, I stepped on it a little bit so that it wouldn't hit the front of the car, and it just hit. It took out 2 doors, and there's a big, horrible stain. My car has more miles on it than the Mir space station. So, you know, and I'm getting, hopefully I'm getting a new one next month after the big special comes up. But,
exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a sandwich and a hat. to quote to Kenny Rogerson. But it made me think about random. I mean, I was actually a little shaken up because that could have been it. You know, my number might have been up, which is why it made me think about random occurrences. So I bought a bunch of lottery tickets for us. I don't usually, you know, my feeling is if you don't play, you can't lose. But, yeah, I thought we could have some fun with the lottery tickets. And also it made me think about random stuff that's happened in my life. I know you were doing that Tito beverage promotion last year. And I told you the story about, I went to see my father in the VA hospital in West Virginia, and it seemed like he was going to die, then he didn't. And I'm young, I'm hitchhiking. So I hitchhike out of there. I figure I'm going to go to New York to try to get on stage and do some stand up. It's raining like hell. This guy picks me up and he's driving to Boston, and he says, well, I can drop you off here, or I can take you to Boston. And I go, well, Boston's in the American League. Yeah. And I end up in Boston, and, you know, the ding-ho and everything resulted because of the weather that day. That was pretty random. That thing yesterday, I mean, I've been hit by lightning just the once. I've been, you know, like yesterday I got hit with a truck tire that just materialized out of nowhere. And fortunately I'm here. And then I thought of other great stories. And one was, big Syracuse basketball fan. I saw Boeheim play. That's how old I am. Scrappy. So I'm out in Cleveland, you know, when I was living in Cleveland, which was, a performance art piece I didn't even get. But, I was living in Cleveland, and, the NCAA tournament's coming there, and as it happens, no worries. The NCAA tournament's having a regional in Cleveland, or not, you know, like the first and second round, and Syracuse gets assigned there. I don't have a ticket, so the first night I go down, I hustle a ticket, and they beat Bradford. You know, courageous, and then the next night, the next Saturday afternoon, they're supposed to play Kentucky. Well, Kentucky, as they say, travels well because, you know, what else do they have to do? Yeah. You know, plus they get to leave Kentucky. So, I'm looking for a ticket. Finally, I see this guy, and he's almost got the Syracuse ticket people conned and are giving him a strip of tickets. And I knew the guy was a scalper because I saw him scalping before the game the other day and scalping before this game, and he almost and I said, this guy's a scalper. And the guy gets really mad and threatens me. I go, like, you know, like, I'm not getting in a fist fight with you. I'm going to a basketball game one way or another. And by this time I had made a sign, actual fan needs sign for a game. And I need tickets for game. So this guy comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, I got a ticket. I got to charge you face value for it, but I think you're going to like the ticket. I go, that's great. If I'm in the gym, I'm happy. He gives me the ticket. It's the high end. The night's $2,000. Might have cost $50 or something. I walk into the gym. I hand the ticket to the usher. He goes, oh, the usher takes me from like, I'm coming kind of one of the corner of the bowl. And he goes, no, you're downstairs. And but I'll walk you over there. He walks me down. Well, we keep going down and down. I go, this is unbelievable. Then he cuts over to exact center court. And it brings me down to like the fourth row, you know, and sits me down next, and I'm like, the guy next to me is on one side of the center court, and I'm on the other. That's how good the seat is. And the guy sitting next to me is a guy named Goodman, who the gym is named after. He built the gym. I sat with him. We had a great time. It was wonderful. So that was a great random thing.
Yeah.
I figured, you get lucky randomly sometimes. So
you get lucky randomly, you get unlucky.
We should get to it with these lottery tickets.
Well, I mean,
nothing better than hearing lottery tickets scratched on the radio.
Yeah. One thing we had to do is, it's great that you're sharing. We got to keep Chris out of this because he's a jinx. He's a natural.
That's my only concern.
You never win.
Oh, he is jonesing over. You
gotta be in it to win it, Ron.
Vice that he
Well, that's the thing about Chris is like, one thing about an addict, you can't understand someone else's addiction that you don't share.
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid. Why would you waste your money on that?
Yeah.
You could have been doing coke the whole night.
Yeah, this is the great Norm Macdonald bit.
Yeah.
Where he's gonna give someone gives you a lottery ticket for a present. Here you go. Nothing. And you really hope the guy doesn't win. So good. You've got the
Now, Gail, you get a little bit of the gambling bug. In you as
I
well.
like.
Okay, so we have the cool nines, the lucky sevens. Oh man, I'll go with that.
I like cool nine.
Loose change. That's maybe where you end up, Chris.
Yeah.
And wild winds.
Ooh,
Philly.
No, this is something you don't normally do
ever.
I never play them myself.
I think I only play.
Guys, don't you feel like you've hit the? I mean, I kind of feel like I hit the lottery, even though I never have any money.
Oh no, I would totally agree. And I was just.
We can't give any to Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a couple.
Well, I give him here. If everybody gets 5.
Well, everybody gets 5.
We got 4 people, or should we give Vito a couple?
Well,
Let's all break off one for Vito.
The thing about Vito is if he does hit, it'll turn into toys. You know.
Well, let's put it this way: if we hit for enough to buy me a new car,
yeah,
fine. Anything less than that, it's a party. We blow it in Montreal next week.
Well, Chris is already getting a credit card from Montreal that we're going to be enjoying anyway.
We're going to Expense Town. That's what I'm calling Montreal.
Expense it. Who cares? That's what Barry's like. Hey, I'll buy you dinner up there. I go, no, I'm buying you dinner.
I know.
Well, we might have to bring Chris and Don with us.
Can you rub them all off?
Yeah, how does it work, Chris? Explain it to us, non-addicts.
From these, it looks just like rub everything off and then see what matches.
This is more work than I ever want to do.
Yeah.
All right, I don't want to bring up anything good, but it looks like I won $1,000.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and that's less than a car.
Yeah.
Still a good time though.
Okay, I've won $1,040.
Do you ever? Do you scratch off the prize to find out what you could have won, or you don't even?
I don't even know about any of this.
I do
rub
that.
9 spots. Get 3 7s in any row, column, and win a prize. Okay, so I have 7s all over the place and no 3 in a row.
I feel like this is as fun as a coloring book.
Yeah, I know.
We got to wear.
By the way, which are popular now. It's so embarrassing.
It is. Adult coloring books are phenomenal.
They're the #1 seller on Amazon Books.
There you go.
Fucking
There's
kidding me?
multiple adult coloring books in.
There you go.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
$2, $2 right there.
Here I am ordering a Twain book, missing out on all the fun. Well, this is terrible. I'm already bored with this. And it's got to be. It's bad radio.
This is fantastic.
Let's face it. This is horrid radio.
I think that's standard for us. So that's good.
That's when we're in our comfort zone.
Hot fun in the summertime. So
the last thing we ever want to do is have a good break and then have to follow it up. So is it 3 in a row I'm looking for, Chris? Is that it?
Well, every card, everybody's got a different rules. That's how I planned this horribly.
You have to just get 3 in general. If there's just 3 like amounts, then you win.
Okay.
You win that amount on Wild Winds.
Well, dudes, we just picked up $2.
All right.
And
all right.
That gets us another card?
That gets us more lottery tickets.
Another 2. I bought the cheap ones. I bought the $1 ones, but I bought 20 of them. So I was thinking maybe had people who have, some of your listeners have some amazing random stories, like sitting next to the guy who owns the
So
gym.
you only like the positive kind?
No. I mean, clearly yesterday was a negative one, except when I was hit by lightning, neither one is anything I would recommend to anybody, but I didn't die.
Well, hit by lightning, I had also heard that you were tripping when that happened.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, if you're going to get hit by lightning, take the full ride.
I mean, this is how superheroes are born.
You might be unbreakable.
Or cults.
I think you are.
I screwed up. It was at Watkins Glen with a concert, 600,000 people there. One guy gets hit by lightning, me, and I was too dumb to start a cult.
Yeah.
Give me all your money, drugs, and women.
Now, that concert, I'm going to see if I can do this off the top of my head. The band, the Allman Brothers, and the Grateful Dead.
Yep.
And that show, for some reason, not as famous as Woodstock.
Well, it came afterwards, but the band put out an album, and literally, you can probably hear the lightning years later, 20 something years.
I won $1.
You want $1?
So we're
All
up
right, so we're
$3.
$3.
Okay.
This is great.
I got 7 here, so we're up to 10.
Way to go.
Okay, $10. All right. This is a terrible idea, really.
No. This is great. You kidding me?
Everybody's kind of sticking their tongue out of the corner of their mouth, leaning over.
Actually, I do want one of those coloring books now.
I'm
It's very
trying
relaxing.
to stay outside the lines.
I got nothing.
I didn't even like coloring when I was supposed to.
Yeah, I didn't.
It wasn't one of those things.
No, never interested.
I really liked it. Do girls like coloring more than boys?
they're better.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they are better. When we're younger, for some reason, girls are better than everything, and then they don't go on to have the career. But when you're little,
no follow.
I mean, no one ever remembers any boy being the smartest kid.
No.
In the class, I never copied off a boy in my life.
No.
And then there's that weird thing where up until about 4th or 5th grade, the girls are just as athletic as the boys.
Yeah, they're just right there in speed.
Yeah. And then something happens.
Well, you start taking them out at second base, and that's
they don't want any part of that.
Yeah,
I come in high
nothing.
spikes every single time.
Okay, I'm 0 for 5.
$1.
Okay,
see.
this is a demonstration, my friends, of why you shouldn't play the lottery.
Yep.
We're down to $10.
I think I picked up 4.
Oh, wow.
Altogether.
We're down 6.
But I've already lost where the first one was.
Barry, maybe you used up your luck. Maybe that's what it is.
Let's hope I get in and out of Long Island this weekend.
Here's probably my best good luck story, and it was completely nothing but luck. So I'm working in a hotel about 18 years old, and when the hotel would close, when the bar would close, and the restaurant would close, all the young guys would go over, take the keys, open the bar up, and spend an enjoyable night drinking at the bar for free. So I did that all night. I'm drinking till dawn, and all right, I'll see you guys later. I got to go back to PA, and I'm down in Delaware at the time. So I'm driving up 95 pretty much by myself.
Yeah.
Kind of light rain, foggy day, and I'm fucked up. So I think to myself, I'm this drunk, I better get home a little quicker. You know what I mean? I don't want to spend too much time out here. So I'm driving along at a pretty good pace, hydroplane. I'm on 95, go down into the ditch. Now I'm thinking to myself, it's a pretty good speed because I went down into the ditch and up. I'm driving northbound and end up driving southbound with mud all over. So I get off the next exit. I go home next day. My old man's waking me up in the afternoon. Why is the bottom of your car covered in mud? I don't know. These fucking kids around here put mud up in the shit. I had a whole story for him. And I think it's the funniest story in the world. And I drive back down there. And just to take a look where this happened.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I could see where I did it. And it's the only place within 5 miles that there wasn't a rail. There was just this one spot that there was no rail.
Wow.
And I did this thing. And like a kid.
You had snorted it.
Yeah. That one little area, thank God for my powers. But that one spot.
Yeah.
And there was no. I mean, when you're in basically a no-car accident, you couldn't be stupider.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't even anyone near me. And either side of the road, I was able to come up like it was a Burt Reynolds movie and just driving stupidly. I don't know if I ever hit the brake at all.
Yeah, I'm going to start calling you Gator now.
Yeah. And at no point did I ever think at that time it was good luck. It wasn't only 2 years later that I went, I don't know. People bring up angels. Did I have one? If not, it had zero effect on my life. That's like the most embarrassing. good luck story that you could have. You get nothing out of that.
Yesterday, I was saved by my years of bootlegging.
Yes. You were prepared for what was happening.
Well, only because I'm a prick. Only because I'm going like, you fucking asshole. What do you, why ride? Do you know, have you ever had someone in your blinds? I mean, do you know it's dangerous?
Yeah.
You get lulled to sleep after a while. They just stay right there. It's like, it's the same. There's a lot of people who just don't know there's other people around. Like in a grocery store, these two-person teams can block off an aisle for an hour, and it's an impasse. You got to bring in the SWAT team to get soap.
I just noticed that during my last vacation, because we went out to get food for the family for like 3 days, and I forgot how much food people in the suburbs buy at one time.
Right.
And they're just pushing, everyone in New York goes out with a little tiny basket, gets enough for the next meal, and that's it. But they're just pushing double baskets around.
Right.
And everybody was fired up about it, You're like, why don't you just grab enough lunch meat for lunch? That's it.
Nothing better than lunch meat.
Yeah.
What is lunch meat?
Yeah, and sometimes I eat it for dinner. It's me. I never want to call it dinner meat.
You're in that kind of class.
Chris, you've been
a rebel.
An unlucky life, right?
Oh, yeah, very much so, yeah. Just one stupid thing after another. But I do have one, something unlucky was happening, something did lucky happen to me, where I was getting arrested. This is like over 10 years ago. And I was getting busted for...
So this is about 38 arrests ago.
I was getting busted for open container in the middle. I was trashed, whacked. And at the time in my life, I was, let's say, moving ecstasy.
Okay.
So I had a cigarette pack.
Let's say it, or
did you rent a van? Were you renting a van? Or?
That's code word. He's using moving.
Just moving it around.
You had like a jumpsuit on that said Allied on it?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Exactly. And then I had a cigarette pack. Had 2 cigarettes in it, and had 2 small pink baggies with pills.
Yeah.
So this must have been like 5 pills each in the baggies. They were small bags. The cops bust me. They give me the whole thing. They say, "What's your open container? We're going to bring into the drunk tank." And then they look through my pockets. They open the cigarette pack, and then close it and throw the cigarette pack out. I don't know how they could have actually missed the fucking 10 pills of ecstasy in my fucking cigarette pack.
Wow. Yeah, cut to a couple hours later, the cops are real thirsty.
Great. Fantastic. So rather than a felony, because that would have turned into a fucking drunk tank into, all right, now I need a lawyer. It was. I couldn't believe it. I was like, they opened the pack and I was like, I'm fucked. And they just opened it, closed it, and fucking threw it out.
They thought they were just fucking throwing out your shitty cigarettes.
I couldn't fucking believe it.
Yeah.
Well, I spent the night in a drug tank happy as fuck.
Right, the only guy happy.
You were jonesing for a cigarette.
That's always funny too when you're in overnight lockup and you point out whose life is much worse than yours. You're that dude ain't getting out of here.
He's gonna be doing this all the time.
Right.
He knows the fucking dudes in the precinct.
Oh God, that's the worst.
I get busted with boring activists at nuke plants.
You want to be arrested for that though, right?
One time at Seabrook in New Hampshire, which is, at the nuclear waste production facility there. The one that got opened, even though we had him dead to rights on a million problems, but Bush Sr. lost Iowa and he needed to win New Hampshire, and Sununu really put the push on, and he won New Hampshire. And then then part of the payback was they got to open Seabrook. Mm-hmm. And I always felt that the sirens at Seabrook should go, Sununu! Sununu was the guy who, after the Exxon Valdez, said, nobody ever mentions how much oil didn't spill out of the Exxon Valdez.
John Sununu is one of those guys that you're like, how do you keep your composure when that kind of shit comes raining down?
Yeah.
And they're always amazing. For that. Paul Manafort is going through this because he's doing a terrible fucking job for Trump and is acting like it's going great. Yeah. And they're like, I don't think
thumbs
you're
up,
watching this.
Lot of thumbs ups.
This is Paul Manafort's way of dealing. Look, I understand we had a rough night last night. Everybody's going to see some more drink tickets, okay? Everything's taken care of. Your room is comped. You're going to the buffet. He literally is like, you don't meet that guy outside of Vegas in your life.
No.
So you're
then the Sununu payoff joke is the tanker half empty? You need an optimist.
Well, I was talking to Penn Jillette, who's a libertarian, but he said that he grew up an Abby Hoffman fan. And I was the same way when I was a kid. I found Abby to be hilarious. I only talked to him once on the phone in my life. But I used to think that guy, anything I could read about him, because he was a guy who, when he did protest, did it in the silliest, most ridiculous ways.
How about, just surrounding the Pentagon, and they said they were going to levitate the Pentagon, and then later we came to find out through Freedom of Information, whatever, they were literally trying to take countermeasures to keep them from levitating the Pentagon. They were literally like, okay, what are our contingency plans to keep them from willing the Pentagon to float in the air?
But how funny is it to have the New York Times sitting there covering these guys? What's going on? Starting?
Well, that's part of the. Me as a rabble rouser. There's times when people complain about political correctness, and no one's dealt with them. Like, I've played to the real. The real sort of the People's Coalition Against Humor. All humor is oppressive, I'm on tour with, I was on tour with Jackson Browne, and he's doing a benefit for this outfit, raising them all this money, and they come in and they say, well, we have some issues with some of your lyrics, Jackson. And it's just like, and of course he's gracious about it. I'm champing at the bit. Fuck you.
Well, when Abby went underground, he went up in your neck of the woods, right?
North, St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
Up on the St. Lawrence.
Do you remember that thing that he did with Barbara Walters when he kind of turned himself in and she had to fly up to his secret hideout?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, and she lands the seaplane down in the river and he's waiting at the dock. He had been on the run from the law for a couple of years. But the whole thing was just a goof. He was basically hiding in plain sight, was still working as an activist.
An environmental activist. Yeah. My friend Al Giordano was very tight with him, worked with him a lot. Al Giordano did this for years, this thing called Narco News, where he reported on the drug war from down in Mexico.
From down in Mexico the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows a lot of that. He knows where the bodies are buried. So I'm in Long Island tomorrow night.
You're doing Long Island tomorrow night.
Scary driving out there. See, now it's all about the driving.
Yeah, the first time I remember being up here in New York, and they said, you're going to this place in Long Island, and they go, give it 3-4 hours. And I'm like, well, it's this far on a map. Why would I wait 3-4 hours? That driving out there,
it's like
is
traveling
insane.
by mural.
Yeah, it is. It is, and there's something about Long Island that just always is the strangest thing, that you're just literally driving out. There's no rights or lefts to take.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and the way their whole system is set up, I find very confusing.
Well, I love Long Island because I'm playing there tomorrow.
But what do you mean their system for?
I don't know. I think maybe it's just if you're used to something, I feel the same way about Jersey too, where I'm just I don't understand how they have set up the roads there. Maybe it's just what roads you're used to. But
the thing about it, if you want to leave Jersey, you don't have to go through New York City. Right. There's no way. Let's say you're planning a trip to Washington. Leaving Long Island and getting through New York City is going to take half the time easily.
People, and they aren't allowed to pump their own gas in New Jersey. People from New Jersey are flammable.
Did you know that, Chris, that you can't pump your own gas?
I heard that before. I didn't think it was true, though.
When you get out, everybody will try to put you back in your car. Hey, we got it.
When
job lead to fights.
Well, the funny thing is that the Jersey Turnpike is the only place I tip well. I'm like, here you go. Thanks for getting that gas. That's $1 for you.
Yeah. I had to.
I've tipped toll booth attendants before.
I've had to teach my friend when we went to college. She was from Jersey. And so this was her in New York State for the first time. And I had to pump her gas for her and show her, it's okay. She's like, it seems very dangerous to be handling this. And she's like, how do you know this? You don't even have a driver's license. I'm like, I'm a human being. I'm just going to show you how to do this. She's like, careful. Jesus Christ. Are you able to handle this stuff?
I'm flammable.
I remember when the gas station attendants would smoke the whole time, though, when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. And the good old days, you pull in, they go, hey, can I clean your windshield? Maybe give you a map? If you had to put your own air in the tires.
Yeah.
I'm putting my own air in the tire. I'm waiting for a rim in my forehead,
I know.
That dinger thing, I could never figure out when it ding, ding. Like, you have to know the cadence of the dings, when to stop. That's at 82 pounds. That's probably good.
It will literally go off like a bazooka in your face if when the tire. People have died from overinflating the tire, and that's just something that there would just be air there all the time, just free air. They would say we have air, gas, and oil.
You have to pay for it.
Yeah,
to get someone to do it. A lot's been lost. Something's lost and something's gained.
That's the beauty of it, Something is always lost every time we get something new. You have to say, now what is changed?
Sure, we have cell phones, but there's no more free air.
Yeah, there's no more free air. That's gone. Actually, people don't even change tires anymore. You get a flat, you just sell the car. Just like this.
Or Halliburton, you just leave it in a rack and then ISIS ends up with it.
Yeah, who was that guy's truck? There was some guy.
Some poor plumbing contractor from California.
Yeah. ISIS is riding around in his with his company name on the side.
Whoever made that sign for him, it proved the power of the advertising.
Yeah.
It's Mark 1 Plumbing.
There you go. Look at how quick Mark 1 Plumbing.
He said he had people cancel. Like, I'm not using you anymore, Mark.
You're affiliated.
Mark,
you've been my plumber for years.
Since you became ISIS, I just don't trust your business anymore.
There was a shooting in Miami.
I'm sure that's Hillary's plumber.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure.
Lock her up. Lock her up. Now, there was a shooting in Miami that would have normally been the number one story. Right. It's totally blocked up. Did you get a chance to see it, Chris?
No, I haven't.
All right. It's a guy with an autistic kid, or maybe even an autistic man, you know what I mean? That has to, that doesn't know exactly what's happening. But you got video on it? Now, see if you could hit the video for me. This guy laying on the back, he's like a therapist that works with these children. The boy, the autistic boy, has a toy truck. So
we're all now watching the Lowe's ad that Chris has. Hold on.
The kid doesn't know what he's doing. The guy's laying on his back, and as I say, he's some kind of therapist who works in a home for these kids.
Who's the therapist?
He's the guy laying on his back with his hands up. The autistic kid is just kind of sitting there. I guess this kid had left the group home, but the therapist is laying on his back, yelling, "Don't shoot him! He's an autistic kid!" And the cops shoot the therapist.
With his hands up in the air.
I want to point out the therapist is black.
Well,
Jesus.
But
God.
But this is getting like zero
Hey,
play.
we listened to him.
Yeah.
We didn't shoot the kid.
And he's yelling,
Jesus. Did
please
they kill
don't
him?
shoot him. He has he survived, but he was shot despite the fact that he was laying on his back with his hands in the air saying, don't shoot him. It's a toy truck that he's holding. Please don't shoot him. They shoot him and he says, he's screaming, why did you shoot me? And he claims that the cop says, I don't know.
I don't know why I shot you. It's been a crazy news day.
It's because I haven't shot anyone in 9 hours.
But this is going to get no play at all because, Cruz was funny last night. But
that was one of the good things about getting in the accident.
Yeah.
Slowed me down enough that I missed
Cruz.
I walked in right as he was done. Right as he was oozing out through a crack.
It was really funny, great TV. But here's the biggest problem for the cops now is that everybody has a camera on their phone. Because, you look at this.
Yeah, the whole world is wireless. The whole world is wireless. Remember that.
Yeah. It is the strangest thing that's happened because you would have been a weirdo years ago if you went everywhere with a video camera. People would have thought that you were nuts, but now we do. Now we go everywhere with a camera and a video camera.
What's weird now is if you use it as a phone.
Yeah, that's people are like, is something wrong? You called me.
Hello? What is
What's
this?
happening?
Chris and Gail both will say, can I call you? I'll get a text. I want to talk to you. Can I call you? And I'm like, yes. That's why I have a phone.
Yeah, right.
No, it's for text messaging and Google.
I mean, I hate if they did it in the other order. If the text came first and then the phone came, everyone would go, this is so much fucking better. You don't have to, I don't have to type everything on a postage. I mean, I still don't get the thing where like, let's watch Gone with the Wind on a postage stamp. You know, no
That's
thanks.
Chris. You don't have a TV, right?
I don't have a TV, so like I watch like Game of Thrones on my phone. Just everything streams on my phone. Netflix.
Cannot believe that.
I put in headphones and
It's
just
a
watch.
sad little thinking of you sitting there alone.
Yeah, what's so sad about it? I'm enjoying media on my cell phone. It's fine.
Now
you look better. He does look better.
He quit everything.
I know.
He quit everything.
He's not shiny
Well,
anymore. Like last summer I was in here and he's just pretty greasy.
Well, this is a big year for him. He's going to try out to be a place kicker for the New York
As
Football
I said
Giants.
last week, go American style, go Groza, go Groza, and you'll get the whole Trump faction behind you.
7 days till the dream happens. I'm really excited.
7 days you're leaving for Montreal.
Well, in the morning I'm going to be at
I think
MetLife.
you should also
Great.
work on the onsides punt.
I don't do.
The onside punt. Would you pay attention? It wasn't a kick. It was a joke.
He immediately answers. He's got an issue. He's got a policy on the onside. No, I'm not going to use the onside punt.
That's insane.
That's quite silly.
I had a coach I had a baseball coach who used to tell us the easiest way to take yourself out of a big inning is hitting into a triple play. So,
now you were behind the plate when you played, right?
Yes.
And you stay a baseball fan to this day. You're not like
yeah. I mean, and I'm it's the Yankees are horrible. They're just it's just what an awful thing. I mean, they mortgaged the future, and guess what year it is? So and plus the curse. I mean, like let's knock down the place where Garrett gave the speech.
It is insane, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you have
mausoleum.
Yankee Stadium, and they're like, oh, we can get more corporate boxes.
That's exactly
You had
right.
Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Is it still sitting there, Chris, or did they knock
It's
it
gone.
down?
It's gone. Gone completely.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking lie.
Crazy. The state of New York should have stepped in. The city of New York and said, look, this is,
I mean, Gehrig, Ruth, Mantle, DiMaggio.
It's phenomenal. In your lifetime, who's the favorite person that you've ever watched at the plate? Who's the guy you're like, I would watch him at the plate?
Well, it's obvious, Mantle.
Mantelfield.
Because he would, he didn't get cheated. He took those vicious cuts, and then, I mean, he's corkscrew himself into the ground and get up on those rickety knees. He was amazing and much more. I mean, the older people, I'm old enough that I was around sort of DiMaggio quit a year or two before I was born. So I knew all these old guys. You didn't see Joe D and whatever. But then as I learned he was a prick and whatever, and all Mantle's teammates loved him and stuff. But he was a great. I think clutch hitters in the American League went Mantle, and then he faded. Then Brooks Robinson was a great clutch hitter, and
great
then
third baseman. Yeah, Munson was.
How Munson was a clutch hitter was they'd be shut down. For 5 innings in a playoff game against the Royals, and the 8th inning they're down 3-1 or something. And Munson would line a double to right center, and then Dick Hauser would come pull the pitcher, and it would thank God we got that guy out of there. And the next thing you know, they score 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th and went for it. And then Gossett just standing there smirking.
Munson was almost one of those guys who was like the end of an era too. Like you felt it that day. When it was over, you're like, we're not going to see this type of guy.
Now the day he was killed was my first day working as the doorman at the Ding Ho.
Is that right?
Remember they used to have the 5-minute news break at the hour or a couple-minute news break on the network. So I'm in this apartment and I look in the little black and white TV set way far away, and I can see there's a picture of Munson up there, and I just said, I hope he got arrested, because I knew there's 2 reasons it would
right.
And I walk in and I find out he'd been killed. And by the way, practicing takeoffs and landings so he could go home to his family more frequently. The arrogance of the athlete was there, but still there was this decency there. He had a terrible childhood, terrible, brutal father and whatever, and he was great to his wife and kids and stuff. And so that's what he was, that's what he was doing. He wanted to be home to his family every night, and he got killed because of it. But I almost didn't go into the Ding Ho. But I just asked because I had done one show there. There had been one, like, occasionally there was a comedy show there. That was the first show I did in Boston. So I thought it was a great room and they weren't utilizing it. So I went over. I got hired as the doorman by Shunley, and I go in. And I'm at the door for a while, and Shunley's watching me, and people are going, "How's the band?" And I go, "They suck." The owner behind me, I got it, and Shun's laughing. "Oh, that's very good." And then I go, and then this guy comes in. He goes, "I don't pay the cover here." This big kind of galoot, like 40-year-old Irish guy, and I'm this too young Irish guy, and Shun goes, "Oh, it's okay." And then I watch him go up to the bar, and he doesn't pay for a drink. He goes, "I don't pay for drinks here." And I go, "What the hell is this?" And I go, and Shun goes, "Oh, it's us." And then he says, "Hey, I don't know if anybody heard. Munson got traded to the Angels." And I went over and I picked the guy up and threw him out of the building using his head to open the door. Bam! And just said, "Never fucking," and got one of those pissed off things. They talk about it a little bit in the movie. When I get pissed off, I get more articulate. I gave the guy the list. And if you ever come in here again, you fucking piece of shit, get the fuck out of here. And then I turn around and I look at Shun and I go like, "Well, I had a good time working here." And he goes, "No, that was great. He terrible." and by the end of the night, I'm booking the Ding Ho, and a month later, I switched it to comedy.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
All thanks to Munson.
Well, that's a big price to pay.
I remember watching the following game that the guys were crying in the dugout. I mean, you'd never seen anything like it.
After the funeral.
Yeah, after the funeral.
Yeah, when Mercer gave the eulogy and then won the game that night.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was incredible.
And that was really sort of, it was a long time before they from that.
Yeah, it just felt like something had left. It was funny that you brought up Brooks Still, because everybody remembers him just as a great third baseman.
Such
but
a clutch hitter.
Great all-around ball player. Yeah. You know, for me, a guy that could always slap and I would watch every at-bat was always Rod Carew. Was just a guy was just so pretty to watch. Like, literally made you think, hey, if I was a little more graceful, I could sit out there and just hit singles all day. Yeah. Just a little more graceful, you know? Because he looked like a skater, just moving the ball wherever he wanted to.
An elegant hitter.
Yeah, elegant hitter is the perfect way of putting it. Yeah. You know, I saw this thing in Korea the other day. They were doing the bunt derby, where you had to land a bunt at certain places and get points.
Right.
And I was thinking, Vito, you've probably grown up and never seen a suicide squeeze in your life. People just don't bunt, not even in the National League.
It doesn't happen anymore. It's really weird.
Well, your league, I don't know if it ever happened.
When did that become out of favor?
Probably after Pete. You know, Pete was the last guy who was like, "I'm 0 for 3, so I'm going to bunt and get on."
So, you know, I actually, Beltran.
Yeah.
Bunted against the Shift last night, got a single, and then came up and hit a homer the next at bat.
And that's what guys were expected to do.
Yeah.
You know,
if they give it to you, you take it.
You take it every single time. But it doesn't help you at the end of the year when you're sitting around trying to, you know, redo your deal.
Right.
They're not looking at anything more than dingers.
Yeah.
But the game has changed, and it's weird that the baseball still, you know, you make a ton of money in the game of baseball. But we were talking about this the other day. It's not so much a national game anymore, you know?
Well, yes, it is, but it's a national game in the Dominican Republic.
Right, yeah.
Where all the great players come from. But, also, I just think they do so much. You know, you go to a game, you watch a game on TV. It used to be, in the old days, you're watching on a little black and white TV, and you could follow the game. I mean, as an old catcher or whatever, I could watch the outfielders and the fielders shift around. They would do that establishing shot from the mezzanine, and you could watch, and you could say, "Oh, they're cheating that way. This is going to be breaking ball," or whatever. You never can see that anymore because they're showing, you know, some nitwit from a sitcom, or you know, they're painting something.
You're jumping up.
Or they got the camera on the booth, and the chuckleheads are trying to be funny, and it's like, well, maybe you'll pay for the golf tomorrow, Jerry. You know, it's like, and it used to be there was this sacred moment where they say, "And here's the pitch." Yeah. In other words, the ball's going in play. We're paying attention to baseball now. And the radio, listening to on the radio was so great because you would hear the din of the fans, and what you were listening to was 20, 25,000 people talking baseball. Now you can't do it because they're playing blah, 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 blah,
Yeah, right.
The bank won 38, like one promotional thing after the next, all this crappy snippets of it's all meant to appeal to people who don't give a fuck about baseball, and it insults everybody. And so you try to watch it on TV, you're not getting what you used to get. Imagine if they shot it the right way now with the great TVs, it would be tremendous.
Yeah, that's a really good point. No one ever brings that up.
It's just, you can't see, it's so much. If you know that, I'm sorry, people go, baseball's a boring game. Well, not if you know what you're fucking watching.
No,
you're right.
Something
to watch all the time. Something to pay attention
it's true.
to all the time.
And they said, well, we have the sausages race for the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Well, baseball is for the kids. So your dad would always say to you, so what's going to happen next? Where is this going? What is he doing?
Exactly.
That was the way I watched every game, with my dad saying, so now what's happening? Where do you go? Where do you go with this?
Related.
Yeah.
And the color announcer was, in the early, when I was a kid, Rizzuto would be telling you that stuff. Mel Allen go, well, Phil, tell the kids about the double play. Well, you want to square yourself up, and then that was sort of his deterioration. Sort of was, the canary in the mine shaft. And by the way, I don't know if the environment's bad. Mine shaft canaries have gone extinct.
That's too bad. That's too sad. That's too sad. Chris, you the game of baseball.
I love it.
But you grew up close to Shea. Was that your ballpark?
No, it was my dad was a Yankees fan, so it was always Yankees. And my dad would just watch baseball constantly. Didn't matter what team was playing. And I would just watch it with him.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was just because we finally got cable, got TBS. We could watch anything we wanted.
Right.
TBS made everybody in the South a Braves fan, and then WGN was great for people who had their afternoons free. Right. And I watched a hell of a lot of Cubs games.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everywhere in the Midwest, there's Cubs fans.
Remember the, they say that was one of the problems with the franchise forever. They could sell tickets to people from Iowa and stuff like that, so they didn't have the incentive to do more with the team. But I remember when it was just a huge deal for a game to be on TV.
Oh, yeah.
We would watch anything that was sport. That's why Wide World of Sports did okay, because it was, they're trying something. We'll watch it. Because, I was lucky if I got to see 2 Yankee games a week. It was a good week because they did maybe the national game, and then on Sundays they ran it on Syracuse. And then everything else was on the radio. But you learned a lot listening to the game on the radio.
The radio was summer. There was just, the radio was on in the summer. But when you were a kid, and then you go to a game and see that it's much bigger and much more beautiful than it looked on TV.
Oh yeah, the Wizard of Oz moment.
Yeah. The first time I went in Philly, it was like the old fucking Shibe Park, right? It looked like you were walking into a museum, and I'm like, what? I'm a little kid. I'm like, what the hell is happening? And it was cool enough that it was like a very urban, kind of shitty, mowing down environment. And you walk through this place, and then there's this beautiful, to me, as a kid, green park, blah, blah, blah. It was just a stunning.
My experience of seeing baseball, like spring training at that tiny stadium that I went there, I would think that it was nothing. To me, it was like huge, beautiful, massive, like otherworldly.
And it's so impressive when you see major league ball players, their arms, the crack of the bat, the pop of the glove. When you're that close, it's another.
When you say the ferociousness of a swing, just the explosion that these guys have, and you're like, oh, I thought I knew baseball until I got closer to these guys.
I used to sit under the boards. I had friends with tickets that were given to me for the Celtics games, and I watched Parrish and Jabbar and Olajuwon, and those guys slamming each other under that. Oh man,
that's all you hear the whole time. And you're like, ow, this is a lot more physical game.
So the first game I went to was Yankees Red Sox, and we ended up getting tickets because there'd been a rain out, and it was a day-night doubleheader at Fenway, and we were on vacation in Maine. My father, Greg, finds out he goes, we'll get tickets. He brings me down. We go to the game. The Yanks win it on a pinch hit double by Yogi Berra. And I don't get to go to another game for several years. And now it's 68. It's Mantle's last year. my father's friend calls me up and goes, "Hey, you want to see a ball game tomorrow?" I go, "Sure." Who are the Chiefs, Syracuse Chiefs playing or whatever. It's like, you can see any game you want. You go to the Syracuse Chiefs. Like, no. He goes, "Well, I was thinking of taking you down to Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium to see the Yankees." Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. First, I went to my father had got mezzanine box seats, and we go down, which were like theater seats in Yankee Stadium at the mezzanine level. They were great. And we got to go to the Yankee Stadium Club. But we went to the Yankee Stadium Club for lunch, and I could hardly eat. I just wanted to get, and then I walk in, and the first view I get is sort of press box level, and it's like unbelievable. And then the clouds roll in, and it's all, by the time I get into my seat, I saw Ruben Amaro play catch with the Bat Boy. And then we had to drive all the way back to Syracuse. So then a few months later, my father's pal calls me up and says, "Well, do you want to, go down?" And he goes, "Yeah, we'll go to, any game you want tomorrow, and you want to see the Chiefs?" And I thought you were a Yankee fan. I go, "I love to see the Yankees." "Well, it's Old Timers Day. We're going down. I'll pick you up about 8:00 tomorrow." I go, "Well, Mr. Checky, it's New York, 8:00. He goes, yeah, we're flying. We fly into Teterboro, literally park next to, they're showing me, that's Frank Sinatra's Learjet is there. And it was the last time Mantle hit 2 homers in a game.
Wow.
In his career, and they lost 3-2, Bonson, to the Twins. And that was my first game. Pretty cool.
That's amazing, man. You remember your first game, Chris?
Yeah, my neighbor took me and his son to a Mets game. And I remember I was like kind of pissed because I wanted to go to a Yankees game, but it was to a Mets game, and that was the first game I ever went to.
For me, I'm so little that I can remember this fucking game, but the first home run, my dad actually picked me up to hold me up over the thing, and I watched the ball go out of that stadium, the old Connie Mack Stadium, and it was Hank Aaron, destroying the film, and I see the ball go into the night, which in my head, it just never came down ever. You know what I mean? It was still rising.
Gail didn't talk about her father at all.
Yeah. Was
did he ever bring in any games?
Yeah, my experience was always Philly spring training at Clearwater.
So we had season tickets. We were only a couple from there. Yeah. So we're watching, 4 rows back.
Yeah.
And they're little kids, and there's no way that they knew how fun and cool that was.
And you were pals with a lot of them. I mean,
we were pals, and then I did this, what I would do is what I like to call positive heckling, and I would always find out some stats on the first base coach, and I would just stand up and just ladies and gentlemen, coaching first today in 1969 led the Carolina Leagues in doubles. Please put our hands together. And everybody would be used to it. We'd all go crazy for the guy, and he would have to tip his hat. But those things that's great. Like we'd be so close that Lasorda would be walking by us, and we'd always do the same stuff. Man, Tommy's looking good, isn't he? Tommy's losing weight. You just see him kind of smiling. This is so people good. Really picking up on how I'm doing this year.
Yeah, but that place is it was like another planet to me. I just thought it was the most beautiful. And I thought it was huge, massive. Yeah. But and then also because the Rays did not exist then,
right?
So to me, Phillies were our team,
sure. Right? And you could get those seats. I'm not kidding. It was $5-10,
right?
And you could pick it up for the entire spring. And then the other great thing about spring training is that they would always give out the temperature where if you were in Philadelphia or in New York who was ever playing the game.
Right.
So you would get the Toronto temperature and everybody you would just feel like you've dropped out of society and those rules no longer applied to you. It's funny. It's one of the few games people are overly.
By the way, can I read something?
Yeah.
That isn't it. Barry Crimmins will be appearing tomorrow.
Yeah, we used to have you doing that, Chris.
Barry's performing tomorrow night at McGuire's Comedy Club in Bohemia, New York. And he's performing Saturday, July 23rd at the Brokerage on Long Island.
2 shows Saturday.
2 shows Saturday at the Brokerage. Go to BarryCrimmins.com for tickets and additional dates. And on Twitter, it's @Crimmins.
And then Montreal and London are coming up.
Yeah. What are you doing in Montreal exactly? Do you know?
I'm doing a show I mean, I'm doing a one-man show. I'm doing a show that's just me. It's a Friday night. I hope you guys come. And I'm going to do Kindler's show with him once.
Cool.
I'm doing some media stuff, and I'm doing some TV thing on Saturday night, although they keep asking me for a transcript of my set, and I've been kind of like, it's like I asked Dizzy Gillespie to write down the notes he's going to play tomorrow. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can pretend I know. But, I mean, I know what not to say on television.
Sure. Now, is it Canadian TV or,
yeah. Which is good, because I did that. Oh, I know. I didn't tell you the Montreal story.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm up there, and I know Alan King tracked me down, saw me on TV in the 80s, gets my phone number. Hey, kid, it's Alan King. I'm going, who is this? No, it's Alan fucking King. And he goes, you're great. You got more, everybody sucks compared. You got more balls than anybody. I fucking love you, And so I get to know him a little bit. Well, he's up in Montreal, and he goes, we're going to lunch. We're going to lunch tomorrow. Don't bring anybody. I'm bringing somebody. You're not bringing anybody. You're not bringing anybody. So I go down to meet him at this fancy hotel, restaurant, and he goes, you just come by yourself. So I walk, and he's sitting there with Jerry Lewis, and I could see King kind of nod to Lewis, and Lewis goes like, "Oh my God, it's Barry Crimmins," and then he sets him up to go like, "Days of fun," so it's just like tremendous. So I don't know if I'm going to top that on this trip.
Well, I don't think either one of them.
It's kind of sad. I'm the old guy now.
I know you're going to have to do Anthony Cumia's show, Two Peas in a Pod. I think you guys call your act. That should be fun. But it was great seeing you, buddy, and I'll see you next week.
We'll see you in Montreal. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Vito. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, good luck with you guys can cash in the lottery.
Oh, yeah, we'll be partying tonight.
If someone paid you $2 an hour to cash those in, you would make more money cashing them in than cashing them in. Okay, well, thanks a lot, and still alive and well, and I'm thankful for that.
See you next time. Give us the plug out.
Barry's performing tomorrow night at McGuire's Comedy Club in Bohemia, New York. Then he's performing Saturday, July 23rd, The Brokerage on Long Island, 2 shows. And go to barrycrimmins.com for tickets and additional dates on Twitter. It's at Crimmins, and he'll be in Montreal and London after that.
We're right back. Bennington. I got to rush home to make sure I end up watching Crimmins with Kumia. That's going to be hilarious.
I just worry that they're going to agree too much.
Birds of a feather, I like to say. But here's the thing. If you are a funny person, all your friends have extreme opinions in one way or another. There's nothing you do. You never see them put any kind of funniness above that. Hey, Chris, you had a big story. You said you've been dying to tell us all day.
Okay, so in New Mexico, there's an Italian restaurant that's gotten in trouble recently.
For being Italian in New Mexico?
But for putting up a sign, Black Olives Matter, try our tapenade.
Black Olives Matter. And that's considered in bad taste?
That's considered in bad taste. They're getting a lot of hatred. People are very angry at them.
People who don't live near there or go to the restaurant.
People just have seen the sign that they put outside their restaurant, Black Olives Matter, try our tapenade.
You're kind of mad about nothing. There, the police shooting the therapist has finally made the news. Just saw it pop up for the first time.
Took them long enough.
You guys just the same place with that.
I said it first, so.
God damn it.
Hey, Bob. Bob, what's up, buddy?
Hey, brother, just calling because you guys were talking about random things earlier, like random good things, and then also you got into baseball. I was like, I got to call.
All right.
In 1993, I was a sophomore in high school living in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and the Colorado Rockies had their inaugural season that year. And my best friend won tickets off the radio to go see Game 20 against St. Louis Cardinals. And 2 nights before the game, he got grounded. So I got to go. I got to go see Andres Galarragas. And they lost the game 6-7 against the Cardinals. But it's just kind of a random thing and baseball at the same time.
Before Denver got that team, how far did you have to go to see baseball? Seattle or Chicago?
I've never seen a baseball game. That was my first baseball game.
That's amazing when you think about that entire region never had a team until the Rockies. And then people started complaining that the ball would travel too well, that you could just, and some of that they said isn't true. It's just, I don't know where it pulls into it, but that team was the first time that anybody in like 7 states could say, okay, this is close enough for me to call my team. Gail, you had something you want to talk about. Even though we got into it pretty hard over the Black Olives Matter, but we're ready to keep this going.
So there is this street artist in LA who has erected a wall. Mm-hmm. He has created the Trump wall, and he has put it up around Trump's Hollywood sign, his Hollywood star.
See, this makes me mad because I feel like I could have come up with art this good.
I know.
He made a window frame.
It's like, damn it, how did he think of it? But there was like tons of people all standing around taking pictures
I'd be like, kids, come look. They put a wall around this.
Now, do you like graffiti and street art, or do you find it to be like an eyesore?
Well, it's sometimes when I see graffiti now, I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice, like the old days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a feeling of nostalgia about it. I don't know if any time in my life I've ever stopped and thought, oh, I just saw something made with spray paint.
Really?
That's beautiful. Yeah. Normally I like when people write like a funny phrase. I'll get a bigger kick out of that than I am seeing some spray painted thing there.
Right. You prefer like a funny tag as opposed to...
Or like a giant rock face. I'll always stop like, oh, you just did Jagger.
I always enjoy it. And that's probably because of the same reason, is that it's not everything is covered in graffiti the way it once was in the 80s. So when you see it, you're like, oh, cool. Like if the side of your like building gets graffitied, you're like, oh man, like I feel like I got some cred now. Like,
really? I felt just the opposite. I'm like, they better get that down. That's the door we dropped for the coffee shop at night. Now they've graffitied it. Because that's what they always do. They come in and hit that door. And then,
that's an expensive door.
Well, the one that you roll down, there's no other purpose for it. I'm not sure if I like when they go, here's a building that you can graffiti.
Right.
The kinds of ruin. I will say this though, I like really high graffiti. I'm like, well, somebody must almost kill themselves.
It's really impressive.
They get their name tag.
Yes,
there.
and that's like a high status thing too. It's like the more difficult place you tag something.
Now, street art is always funny because we have different art installations here that change all the time in the street. And I can't say most of it is that interesting to me, but occasionally something will happen that I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I mean when we lost the 5 points, to me, I thought that was like losing a museum. It was really heartbreaking.
It was a huge building too, and now it's just totally gone. They're already building a co-op or whatever.
But it was like
those co-ops are going to be so nice for everybody. You know?
I don't know.
Because what they did first is they painted over it because they thought it would be more disturbing to see them like breaking down this art, so they painted it first, but that I thought was just as disturbing. It was like really sad.
You could still see through those cheap white paint they use, so you could still see the murals.
Well, don't you think it's weird though when a street artist becomes famous, like they used to just be somebody that you painted over, and now because it is them,
right?
Banksy is the perfect
Banksy.
thing.
Basquiat started as a street artist.
But I will say that his art changed from street art to where he painted on canvas.
Right.
I won't say the same about Banksy. He does the same type of work, and I think it's funny. But I thought it was great that when the last time that he was here in New York, those places that you just can walk by in Central Park. You can just buy paintings that people have sitting there. Some of them are, done by a machine somewhere. People are like, we bought some real New York City street art, but it's the same thing at the next place. He put a couple of his paintings in there and just let them sit. And I think he eventually, either someone figured it out or he tweeted. But that art that people walked by and it meant nothing, suddenly became this rush. Everybody wanted to see what happened there. And I'm like, but you had the opportunity. If it really was this thing, you could have seen it the whole time. Now that you find out it is a Banksy, you think that it's amazing.
Yeah. This artist who did this to the Trump star, they call like the LA Banksy. Like he is the West Coast Banksy. He's like getting quite a name for himself.
West Coast Banksy.
What's the, there was one in DC. I wish I could remember his name, but it was like, he was a pretty famous graffiti artist and his stuff started getting.
Is he
collected.
District? They call him District Banksy? Because that'd be a great name for him. But normally for me, when I see city sanctioned graffiti, I'm like, okay, bad neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, bad neighborhood. The city is getting involved in making it look better. Mike in Philly, how are you? Mike, we got you?
Yeah, I got you. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're from Philly. I wanted to ask you talk about murals. You know the ones in South Philly, the famous singers with Bobby Rydell, Frankie Avalon. What do you think of that? That's a beautiful mural. I mean, I know they had to try to save it. I think Bobby Rydell actually helped them save it. That's some kind of street art that's classic and I like.
Well, that's always like funny to me because it's that weird, like it's only for local people. You know what I mean? Like it's almost a wall of fame that you can put up. And like Bobby Rydell would not be famous to anyone outside of his neighborhood. I mean, he had his time of fame. He had to hit songs in like the early 60s, but there's no reason for him to still be thought of that day. Have you ever seen this guy? I'm going to think of it. Something Monopoly. I think it's like Alec Monopoly. Look, he just does the Monopoly Man and weird shit like that. This
is great. I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, because he lives like a baller. But the only thing and this is ridiculous for me to say it, I love his Jack Nicholson stuff. He does like this crazy Jack Nicholson face guy. That would be a perfect present for me.
Oh, wow, that looks great.
Yeah. But I mean, is that stuff great or is it the same as any comic book guy could do?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a very similar aesthetic. That's why, I think art, it ends up being whatever the artist's intention is. That's where it gets kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Because if you saw some kid who drew that on a notebook, so you'd be like, oh man, you're really talented. And he'd be like, yep. And he would crumple it up and throw it out.
Right.
But then somebody else could be like, I'd like to hang this up. And everyone's like, oh wow, this is brilliant. It's a very weird thing where intention.
Where you've got to have the kind of marketing of a Kardashian to do that. It's really about that kind of stuff all the time.
I do like a good celebrity mural in the neighborhood, though. Like that, I think is always a cool look. Like I lived down the street from the Biggie mural in Fort Greene when I lived there, and I loved that I could see it every day. I love it. And then there's a mural. I don't know if you ended up seeing it, but somebody put up a Prince one in my neighborhood, which is pretty cool. I like that it adds to just like the feel of your neighborhood. Yeah, that was right down my street. And that was, I think, if not on his exact block where he grew up, it's like a block or two away from
What
it.
I like about it is it looks like Biggie ended up taking over North Korea. You know what I mean? Like, I love that it is this weird alternate universe type stuff.
Supreme Leader Biggie.
Yeah.
I'm down the block from a Run DMC giant mural in Astoria.
See, that belongs there. That belongs to that neighborhood, you know?
I think it was maybe Greenpoint, somebody had done a Big Ange mural. And then this is before she even passed away.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, I bet people are putting flowers on the Big Ange mural. But it's hilarious because it's like it's kind of like the Madonna kind of look about it.
Right.
Madonna is in like the Virgin Mother, not as in the pop star.
I don't make any difference between the two. I think they're both
Chris,
fabulous.
pull that one up, the Big Ange mural.
Chris, get the Big Ange up there, would you?
I'm getting the Big Ange mural.
It seems like you never want to put the Big Ange up.
I love Big Ange.
That's not the one, but
Come
that
on,
one's
Chris,
a
that's
different
the wrong
one.
Okay.
I don't want every mural.
Is this the Big
That one.
I like the wise guys. That's nice. Little cocktail right there.
That's a very good look.
Little
I
dog.
like a wise guy. Hey, what's up, Matt?
Hey, Ronnie, what's the rumpus?
What do you say?
Hey, I think you had a tag back in the day, wasn't it? Monkey House?
Well, I would put Monkey House anyway,
Sure.
just based off of Von.
Hey, and I was going to say, Gail, were you thinking of Cool Disco Dan in D.C.?
Cool Disco Dan, is that the artist?
Maybe that's the one.
First of all, if he's not going to use that name anymore, I want it.
Also, I think Dan has always got another name. He was like Mr. Dan Man, Steely Dan, maybe Cool Disco Dan.
Do you want to start? We start and call our Dan Cool Disco Dan?
I would love it.
He is running the P Musketeers. Oh, God, I hate myself. I wish I never said that. Please act like you didn't hear that. Now Ron's looking at me. I'm going to wash my hands fast. He stopped mid-piss to get away from me.
He didn't even
Cool
zip up.
Disco Dan. He's something else.
He is Cool Disco Dan. Just fits him so well.
Well, someday the Cool Disco Dan will find out that we're giving him that name. He'll be like, hey, man, it's my fucking handle. It's not irony what you're doing.
I like that he puts disco in quotes.
Yeah. Well, it belongs in it.
I know, but
People were saying that Eric Trump misused air quotes last night.
where did he put the quote?
I wasn't paying attention to it, but I got it from people. Hey, we're talking about doing Comedy 101 in August at the Village Underground. Where exactly is that, Chris?
That's on West 4th Street in New York City.
Great area. What day are we doing it?
We're doing it Tuesday, August 16th at 8 p.m. at the Village Underground. Email comedy101live@gmail.com for a chance at free tickets.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the night. We're all very, very excited about it. Some of the great people that we had in the past. Dan Soder has been one of our judges. Robert Kelly killed. Of course, Voss and Bonnie. Louis J. Gomez has made the scene. And a guy right now that's gotten a lot of people talking about him, that Joe List.
Joe List.
People love the Joe List.
Top of the list.
I like that. I was going to call him Cool Disco List.
I kind of like that, but it just kind of seems like Dan's thing. It's just too similar.
Yeah, I don't want to steal anything from Dan.
He's got the disco brand down.
Now, in the veto role, I was hoping to put in somebody that that was jealous of Vito. And that night, Vito, you said you were nervous before, but you had the performance of a lifetime.
Yeah, I was a little nervous leading up. I was pretty nervous. You could tell by how much I was sweating. But then I got up there, and it was a lot of fun, and the fans were nice and supportive, and the mentors gave me some great advice up there.
Yeah.
Did you learn a lot?
I felt like they were the ones teaching me.
I was expecting you to get the bug. I thought that you would have thought to yourself, this is something I want to do from this point on. Turned out not to be, though, huh?
I'm still in the writing phases.
It's a long writing phase.
As I said, a person who wants to do this, wants, let's face it, ruin Fez's chance to talk to Bruce Valanche on an elevator alone and ask him about coming out. It ended up taking Fez years more because he didn't get the Valanche bump that he was looking for. But I'm not going to say who texted me this. It's a person who wants to stay out of the public eye. He doesn't want to live a public life anymore. And this person heard me bring up that I was asked to help mentor the stand-up. I'll just say it's hospital. I don't know whether he's going to do it or not, though. And then I got this text from somebody who doesn't want to be public. Please sabotage that son of a bitch with your Comedy 101 mentoring. And then he says, give him a bit about Ovaltine.
Oh man, Hogslop just wrote to me. The DC artist is named Borf. Borf. That is correct.
Not Cool
Thank
Disco
you.
Dan?
No, it is not Cool Disco Dan. It's Borf.
This is Borf?
That is it. And I believe that Borf is actually like his friend who passed away when he was a kid. So that's like his homage to him.
The face is his buddy?
Yeah, and the name, I think, also.
It's nice.
Yeah. Borf. Thank you, Hog Slop. I appreciate it.
Orphan Golf is where he got his, his big push. I love it. So tomorrow we're doing Opie Radio.
Yes.
At 7 a.m.
Early.
Yeah. Opie Radio. We got to think of somebody to listen to.
We have to pick a band.
House band.
To invite in.
It's really it's really the only prep that we ever like to do for radio. What about house band?
And then we're doing a double shot. We'll be back here on Raw Dog again at noon.
At noon. And then after that, I want to take the weekend off,
Both days?
Yeah. I want to get, as I call, a lot of Ronnie B time, so Ronnie B can express some of his outside interest, like lying on my couch.
That's fun.
Playing a soccer game on my TV. Maybe a lunch for myself.
If you could pick up and immediately master any hobby right now, what would it be? And know that you don't have to, this was you do it a couple times and you're just excellent at it. You don't have to put years.
Well, first of all, most of the time that would take for me to change my personality to patience.
Right.
Because what I'd love to do is undersea archaeology. I feel like the greatest treasures to be found. You know what I mean? And I just don't mean money and gold and stuff like that. But the greatest mysteries lie under the sea, far under the sea. I'm talking 15, 20 yards down there. But I think the thing finding the Titanic and stuff like that, that's amazing. But I think undersea things that would help us know, more about the planet. I'd like to have a fish or two that I can name that no one else has ever seen before.
That's a very good thing.
Yeah. Either that or golf. Those are the two that I look at the most.
I had, when I was in college, I thought, I'm going to pick up archery. Just going to be into archery. I tried it once. You need upper arm strength for this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just, it's incredibly exhausting.
It's hard just to hold that thing back to get any power. But then if you got into archery, you get into bow hunting, where you're killing animals with a bow, and that would be exciting.
That would be pretty neat.
Chris, if you could be a buff.
Karate.
Really?
Yeah. Be karate master? Yeah.
You really want to learn karate, kid? I mean, this is something that you feel like you can't? Karate is almost old school.
Yeah, that's
it's almost like saying I want to go out for chop suey tonight.
Yeah.
People don't go, hey, I'm going to karate school. It's like, why are you stopping there? There's so many other martial arts to get involved in.
No, I want to go to the original, the karate. I don't want any of this MMA stuff. I want just straight, pure karate.
Tiger Schulman's?
Well, this is an easy thing for you to accomplish. This isn't expensive. Gail is a black belt in Shim Shindo.
Shim Shindo.
Yeah. And that's why.
Fucking try me.
Yeah. And that's why.
Because I flip you. I flip you for real.
When she goes to Montreal, she has to go in to the police, let them know.
Yes.
Like you would if you brought any weapon to town.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right, let's see if we can guess Vito's. If he could master anything, I'm going to say watching wrestling.
I'm going to guess salsa dancing. I think he...
Well, you know what? Those kind of things would be nice. It would be great if you somehow became a ballroom dancer. Big BD.
And that's fun because you don't tell anybody about it, and then suddenly a dance number's on, and then you impress everybody. And they're like, what? I didn't know you did that. Like reenact the scene from Swingers.
It's literally the same from Swingers. We took some classes. You would have told your fucking friends. You're out of swing clubs every night. You would have fucking danced with somebody. What do you think Vito would do?
Bass guitar.
Bass?
Slap
rhythm.
The bass?
He wants to be a rhythm section. That's just my guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's two, and one is a lifelong one, and the other one is very recent, like this week. The lifelong one is I've actually always wanted to learn how to play guitar, but my fingers have always been so big, it's been really hard for me.
Right.
The other one is I just started watching American Ninja Warrior on TV, and I get really into it, and I just think, man, it would be really cool to do this one day.
The last time I went down to the dance show, the host of American Ninja Warrior, was there and is a fan of this show. Sat and told me a lot about this show. So if you would, it seems like if you wanted to do it, I could make a phone call.
You find yourself in another mentor situation.
I can certainly invite him in to do the show sometime, and we could kick it around.
I mean, I'm in the gym. I'm like trying to get back into shape, and I think I can maybe end up on the course one day, beat that wall.
Yeah, most people that are really in shape can't beat that wall. So why don't you aim lower? How about we just work? You're able to tie your shoes without getting exhausted.
Without tying them on the
All
sides?
right, here's my question to you. No training whatsoever.
None.
We're set up on the course right now. Me, Chris, Vito. Who gets farther on the course on no training whatsoever?
I don't think any of you get through the first obstacle.
But who gets farther?
Okay, I'm
the
going to
farthest of the three of us.
I'm going to say you'll be able to run to the place where you jump, and that'll be it. And I mean, we're talking about 10 yards. But not one of you guys gets to the first obstacle, and that's not an attack on you.
Is it always
Have
the
you
same?
seen this show?
I have seen it. It's crazy.
It's impossible. By the time you get into swinging from one swing to the other, no,
See,
ain't
that's
happening.
it's gonna be weak for me because the I have problems with the upper arm strength.
I'm going to point something out because you've said it a couple of times. Your lower leg strength
No.
isn't so good either.
That's crazy.
You're not going to be
You're
able to do
insane.
this. Watch this one.
That I could do. Definitely that I could do.
No way.
100%. I could at least get like 3 or 4 of those. I'm not saying I'm like going to be able to see this. No.
But she's using her legs, not her arms.
She seems like she was using. Okay, if that's leg, I can do it. I'm telling you, I got very good leg strength.
You live in a goddamn
I
drunk
also
world.
have really good balance.
No.
I do have good balance.
For you might have good
Yes,
balance.
for me, that's what I'm saying. Like
But
I'm
we're
putting
looking
myself.
at athletic people. Like
Okay,
this
this
you
seems
can't
easy.
swing. I've seen
feel like
it.
I could take this.
Not only seems easy but fun.
Chris, you could not do this.
Chris, that you
Before
wouldn't
we
be
even
able
get
to
to
jump
this.
onto the swing.
No, here we go. All of you are
Okay,
out.
now I'm
All
out.
of you are
I'm out
All
right
of you.
there.
I feel like I could have grabbed that net.
By the way, you brought up hobbies. I don't think I think of being a ninja warrior as a hobby.
Like more like whittling.
But a lot of people,
Cello.
for some reason, love this. And it just reminds me of the old presidential fitness award that they would give out in elementary school.
Yeah, I won gold.
Did you get the actual presidential thing?
I did. Mine was for running. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
they
like-
would go out of their way. One would be for sit-ups, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so
And it was just like,
I had one for running, and then I had like a silver or a bronze in something else. I can't remember what, but I was very fast. Again, leg-related sport. So
I think Vito would be good at this one where you have to use rings to climb across
the invisible ladder.
I don't know.
oh
If that,
my
is that
god,
what it's
that
called?
looks impossible.
Is it the straight up one or is it the across one?
I wish Vito could see our screen. It's a weird setup that one of us can't see the screen.
Ron wrote to us, thanks for telling us about Stranger Things on Netflix. I really enjoy it. I got news for you. I have 2 to go, and I'm nervous about it.
I can't wait to have a conversation about it.
I don't know whether the homely girl was killed or not, you know? All right, somebody's got some advice for you, Vito. Here's Andrew in Jersey. Andrew.
Hey, Ronnie B. Why doesn't Vito try something like a Warrior Dash or like a small Spartan race? They're only 5K, and the obstacles are like baby obstacles, like, you know, and there's only about maybe a dozen of them. And if you can get through that, then maybe you can start training for something that a professional athlete could do.
I know, he really does. He's got high hopes with
He sets the
everything.
bar high.
And I remember, the sadness of him as we started in January, telling us how ripped he was going to be.
Swole.
Nothing happened for him.
There's no swollenness there, Ron.
No.
He's training me. And sometimes I doubt his ability. But I trust,
Can I tell you, since he started training you, I
Yeah.
feel like you're in worse shape.
Really think?
Yeah.
I think that's true.
I'm drinking a lot of ISO here.
Okay, then that should work.
It said no low carb, lean protein.
I'll do Spartan race.
Great.
Have we not heard from Hard Rock Johnny out in Cleveland?
No, we didn't hear from him.
Is he gonna?
Hope he's okay.
Is he gonna be back in time for Gun and Rose?
Yeah, I think he will be back just in time.
That should be exciting. I hope they do Sweet Child of Mine. I hear they haven't.
They might not.
I hear they haven't been doing it this tour.
Oh.
Yeah, no Welcome to the Jungles.
What?
No Sweet Child of Mine.
Okay.
No Mr. Brownstones. They're not doing
Paradise City.
I think they're doing Paradise Suburbs. It's kind of a hip hop mix. All right, we got Johnny on the line. Johnny was there last night when Ted Cruz got booze.
It was crazy. I couldn't even hear myself think with over all those boos. They just kept booing and booing.
He's a booze hound.
It was crazy.
Fun TV, though, right?
Sure. If nothing else, they've really learned how to make the people want to tune in and watch. Now, if you're there live, like I've been the last bunch of days, it's not as exciting in person because there's just too many Republicans. It's just a little crazy. But the booze hounds were out. And I thought Eric Trump did a decent job. He's definitely not as good as Donald Jr.
Well, he also was put into a pretty bad position. He had to follow that shit, you know?
Yeah. And unfortunately, so did their, vice presidential candidate, which was just not easy. And Newt Gingrich he just, followed the old.
I forgot Newt was there. I've already forgotten Newt.
Yeah, he was just making people chant shit like guilty, put her in jail, that whole thing again. It was that old gag.
Too much.
Yeah. The one that got me was, and I don't know where they find certain people to speak, but there was a very passionate pastor from the local area who was very, very passionate about the Trumps. And it's just, finding an African-American Republican is very, very difficult for the most part, unless it's Omarosa. And this guy was just passionate and letting it fly about how the current president doesn't care about, what's going on. And it was very kind of shocking to me, especially being there live. It was.
Well, I mean, no, all you got to do is find one. That's not so shocking. Like if you had to come in and say, we got to fill this place, I mean, it's a big country we have. I was looking at last night. There's over 3 million people that live in this country.
Really?
Bullshit. Yeah.
3 million?
That many?
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
I mean, I can't even name 3 million people.
Yeah. That's why I'm starting to worry about air pollution, which I'm writing a report on right now. And we shouldn't pollute our air because we breathe it.
Yeah.
And noise pollution.
Which one's worse?
What?
Noise.
Can't hear you.
Because you can breathe anything, but noise is noise.
I'm worried more about acid rain myself.
Acid rain is coming down.
What happened to acid rain? It seems like it's very popular.
Is that an 80s problem?
Yeah, like 80s and like early 90s.
I think even late 70s is when Love Canal happened. That was the big one, right? The acid rain at Love Canal? Or did the acid come up from the water, from the ground there?
I'm not sure exactly.
No, that was from the ground.
Okay, so that was just evaporation.
But I feel like it got talked about a lot in the 80s.
It was
huge.
I had a bet on it. My bet was I'd walk around in acid rain with my tongue out, because I like tripping so much.
I used to leave my jeans out so I would get acid rain washed jeans.
Those would be great.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And then I did that bet, acid rain Wilson. And everybody loved that.
And I hate to crush Vito's dreams, but you're a little too tall even just to do American Ninja Warrior.
I saw a guy, 6'3", doing it yesterday.
Dude, they're all super tiny little, they're like
Jamie Brankus. You know what you would be better at? Your first thing should be Cake Boss.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You look like a cake boss.
You could be the Cake Boss.
No, I want to be an American Ninja.
Stay with your bit, buddy. Your bit is Cake Boss.
You're Cake Boss.
We'll get your chef hat. You're like, this week is really difficult. We have to make this cake, and now you got to take it all the way downtown. This is a fucking TV show. That's the shit that you watch if you're on there.
Well, that sounds fun now.
Who do you like better, Cake Boss or Ace of Cakes?
I'm going to go Cake Boss because it reminds me of Springsteen.
I'm going to go Ace of Cakes because he's so punk rock.
That reminds me too much of Ace of Base, though.
Yeah. And?
I'm just saying.
I think we know who's going to be the band tomorrow.
Ace of Base?
What?
I'd rather fucking play Ace of Spades to start the show.
Three times.
Yeah.
It's still the Ace of Spades.
That song is pretty good.
Yeah, lyrically, it's fantastic.
Triple H loved it.
All right, peace.
Bye.
Johnny, talk to you later.
Bye, Johnny.
Later, I'll talk to you tomorrow morning after the big Trumpus.
All right, yeah, we'll
What's
talk
the
to you.
Trumpus?
I guess we'll talk to you twice tomorrow.
Trumpus. Today is Trumpus night. We're calling it out here, everyone in Cleveland.
I love that.
It's the Trumpus.
Oh,
What's the
God,
rumpus,
look who's
Trumpus?
up there now.
Oh, shit.
Joe Piscopo is back.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Killing it.
Yeah, I do a show in New York right now. Everything's doing good, then. It's a good show.
What does he have to contribute?
He's replacing Ivanka tonight to talk.
Yeah. And he's going to do a Frank Sinatra bit.
Did you see SNL Weekend Update?
Yeah, I did.
Take over MSNBC last night. It was very cute.
The Ruth Bader Ginsburg bit is always slays me.
So damn funny. And it's so difficult to she was really committing to that bit. And you don't have an audience.
There's no one
so
there.
It's just people holding cameras laughing at her. And she was performing as though she was doing it.
Hold on, I hate to interrupt you, but Joe Piscopo is telling an Eddie Murphy story right now. He doesn't do that much. So Eddie, he's living out on Bubble Hill. All right, Johnny, talk to you later.
Later.
Bye, Jeannie.
The worst thing that ever happened to Joe Piscopo was Arsenio Hall. It just ruined him when Eddie made a black friend. Oh, Joe Piscopo would be good at Comedy 101.
Let's ask him.
He'd be like the one nice guy. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody.
Ring the bell, Joe.
So go ahead and promote Comedy 101, Chris.
It's happening Tuesday, August 16th at 8 p.m. in the Village Underground in New York City. Email comedy101live@gmail.com for a chance at free tickets.
Looking forward to this one. Vito, I guess you're the retiree. There's no reason for you to go back. But we could move in one of those mystery guests. I always like that part of it where people interrupt Gail as she's doing the introduction.
Yeah, I can never get that person's name out.
Yeah.
Vito, they were just screaming. I think they were either booing or saying Vito. It's very confusing in this day and age.
Let's bring up our last contestant. He's the newest member of the New York Football Giants. Your place kicker. Just because probably by that time you had fucked up a couple of times. Nothing to do with your comedy, just your place kicking.
Got some video from training camp.
How's your training going? Good?
It's going really well. I had about 15,000 calories worth of Isopure this morning.
Good. I want you to get more calories in.
Yeah, because I'm burning so many calories
Doing
as I'm
what?
working
Exactly?
out. Vito knows everything I'm doing. I'm running a lot. Box jumps,
hack squats, power squats.
These are things that Chris forgot that he did.
I don't know
So he
the
has to
names.
ask Vito to say it. Hey, Rob in Wisconsin. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Ronnie, $1,000,000.
Hey, million.
You're talking about funny graffiti lines on a water tower in South Elgin, Illinois, about 25 years ago. Someone had climbed up there and spray painted in huge letters, "Woman equals evil."
I love that.
Pretty good.
Yeah, me too.
Pretty good.
I love that. And, mainly because it makes people think about Electric Light Orchestra. And I think there should be a little more time given to them.
I like a funny line, but I also like a good bathroom stall dialogue where people are responding and adding on to the humor. Like, for example, for some reason, someone had written in this bathroom wall at this bar, "You know nothing, Jon Snow," which is a line from Game of Thrones. Why even write that on a bathroom stall? And then some girl wrote underneath, "He know how to eat pussy, though." And I'm enjoying a nice pee for myself. And I'm like, that's funny and true. Funny and true.
He actually showed off his oral prowess on the show?
He did. He did. And that's why the ladies love Jon Snow. He's a giving lover.
Instead of a taking lover.
Mm-hmm.
Which is Louis C.K., and we saw that in his show. But he didn't know about, giving back a little bit. All right, now do me. Okay, baby? It was the fucking maybe one of my favorite things I've ever seen. All right, we got to wrap this up today, right, Chris?
Yes,
we're back in early tomorrow. I'm going to be here 9 o'clock, and I believe we got a birthday tomorrow, right?
Spencer Berger's birthday.
It's the Spencer birthday.
What are we thinking? Cupcakes for him?
Cupcakes, maybe.
Sweet cup and cakes.
Yeah.
Because the last thing that we need is a big cake to cut.
Just a nice individual cupcake.
Or what do you want, birthday donuts?
Cup and cake.
It's got to be a cake.
I wonder what Spencer would like.
Spencer? Was it last night that he went to the Billy Joel?
Yeah, he went to Billy Joel last night.
I hope he did Piano Man.
You think he did? He might not have. He might have played some new stuff.
I'll play whatever Spencer wanted to hear.
If I was Billy Joel, I'd be like this. What time is it, everybody? Oh, I know. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. You're welcome.
Yes! He's fucking playing it!
I didn't think he would do it, but he's doing it!
The regular crowd, thank you for all your cheers and screams. Shovels in. Hey, who's that over there? It's an old man. Don't you like it when they get so bored of their own songs? And I always like it, too, when they're like, well, it's 9 o'clock at Miami Beach. Yeah, that's where we are. You put us in the middle of your song.
Now we really like it.
So much better.
Spencer Berger really likes halal food. We could get him birthday halal.
You know something, dude? We didn't say we're getting him a birthday meal, a birthday cake, and we're making it as small as possible. And I'm talking about a cake the size of a cup. That's how little I care right now.
So a cupcake?
If that's the nutty name you want to give it, it's up to you.
Damn it, Vito.
I prefer the terms small cakes.
Love a small cake.
Excuse me, Mother. Are there any more small cakes involved? Hey, what time is it, everybody? Oh, I know. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. Hello, Madison Square Garden.
Hello to you.
The regular crowd.
The crowd response was, hello to you.
Yeah.
Yes, hello to me. And this old man sitting next to me.
He's right there.
You guys know what he's drinking? A tonic and gin.
Oh my God, it's the fucking lyrics.
Well, what do you think, guys? Is this a pretty good crowd for a Saturday?
You know it.
Just the flip out of hearing a song that you've heard a million times.
You're just screaming over it. You can't even hear.
And then,
what's the microphone smell like?
I like also when they'll just stop singing and let the people, and they'll be like, sing us a song, and then he sits back while everybody else finishes it.
Piano Man!
And you're like, that's not why we're here, to hear us sing.
Wait, now we're performing!
That's crowd work, really. What time is it, everybody? Is it that time? Oops, not yet. When you would go and see the Kinks, right? Lola was their biggest radio hit, and then he would just go like this, bum 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 ba dum, and he would hit that and go, not yet, and he would do it all fucking night
That's
long.
fucking great,
and it was very, very annoying because everyone like, ah.
Now we hate this next song you're
Now
playing.
You're like ballroom dancing, on TV. It was like him saying, "Oh, by the way, I hate you fuckers. You disgust me." Sometimes they do. They just fucking hate the audience, you know?
Yeah.
It's not hard to imagine the way we're fucking acting all night, screaming dumb shit out and fucking sitting there with a flare or a sparkler. Hey! What time is it? Looks like it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday.
Fuck!
What a coincidence. I've got a song that starts that way.
This is the only reason I came.
I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with a man who plays the piano. I wrote a song about that motherfucker, and I've been singing it every day for 45 years. I've added, changed it around a little bit. I've added some racial epithets. That's fucking awful.
What? That's not me.
You yelled good. And that came directly from you. No one else.
No.
7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're going to pick up this conversation. What is it, Vito? What are you looking back for?
I told Dan I got to pay attention to the show, and he keeps talking to me.
What are you talking about, Dan?
Disco Dan, what are you fucking talking?
Cool Disco Dan.
Cool Disco Dan.
I'm really talking about nothing. I just kind of missed Vito.
Why do you? He's working. You, on the other hand, have no work to do, Dan. Your life is great.
You show up whenever you want.
We saw Dan today at almost noon. That he came in here, and he's like this. I'm really late, but I don't have a boss that knows it.
That's not what I said.
What time are you getting out today? What time are you leaving? 3?
No, I'm going to, Ron, I'm a loyal company man, so it's going to be 8 hours, dude.
I don't believe you. You're going to leave here at 8 o'clock tonight.
8 o'clock. You will see me walk out those doors at 8 o'clock minimum, and I might leave at 8:02.
What time are you coming in tomorrow? 7?
I'm not coming in tomorrow.
Oh, because it's Friday, and New Yorkers don't work on Fridays.
No, I'm going to a music festival because I'm a cool guy.
Which music festival?
Panorama. It's in NYC, right by my apartment on Randall's Island.
Okay, so it's right by your apartment. That's why you're going.
Proximity is...
Your apartment overlooks Randall's Island.
Yes, it does.
Do yourself a favor. Get one of those dust masks to protect yourself. Because that is a fucking dust bowl.
I used to rock that back in the Warped Tour days.
Ooh. A dust bowl, like if there's wind, you're saying?
Oh, it's
just really dusty, and you end up inhaling
a dirt
the dust
island.
there.
So many people.
Seriously, get one or a nice bandana for yourself.
I'm more concerned about a stray Pokemon Go player, Topical. And on that note, goodbye, guys.
Goodbye. Cool Disco Dan. Glad you took us out in the peak. We were killing before Vito pointed out that you were here. That's it for us. We will see you again next year.
In 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!